Since its inaugural season, the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron has made an annual stop at the picturesque and iconic Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. Today, for the 15th time, that tradition continues.
Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca is a track like no other.
The first thing everyone thinks of when they think of Laguna Seca is the corkscrew.
There's a huge drop down, and that's a pretty cool ride, dropping down for the first time in the corkscrew.
And it's probably the most famous corner in all of motorsports and a spectacle that everyone comes to see.
It's fast, intense, there's no let up. It's absolutely one of the most mentally challenging places we run at.
But I think the whole experience all weekend with Carmel so close and the countryside here and just the rhythm of the track, all those things combined make it a great event.
ESPN and the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron welcome you to coverage of the American Le Mans Monterey. This is the third event of 10 in the 2013 championship. At the series opener, the new kids on the block, Rebellion Racing, sent a strong message that they are a force to be reckoned with by claiming maximum points at the grueling 12 hours of Sebring. In round two, the defending champions and local favorites from Muscle Milk Racing used superior pit strategy to dominate the streets of Long Beach, California, and even up the score in the season-long championship.
Well, it is the multiple time that the American Le Mans Series has made their visit here to Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. It is the first trip here for Rebellion Racing, and for the second race in a row, Neil Johnny has found himself on the P1 pole position. But Neil, with not much race experience here, how are you going to manage the traffic today?
Well, I think we'll just have to see how it goes. In the end, our tactic is get a big gap in the beginning. Let's hope there are not too many yellow phases, and then we have to see how it develops.
Like their big brothers in P1, the smaller prototypes of the P2 class are looking to settle a score. Level 5 Motorsports took top honors at Sebring, but they could not match the speed and good fortune of the Patron Extreme Speed Hondas around the streets of Long Beach.
Well, I'm on the grid with Marino Franchitti, pole sitter yesterday. Now, Marino, you are a student of the history of our sports car sport, and I know you must appreciate the significance of a pole position here at the famous Laguna Seca.
Absolutely. I was talking the other day about I'd love to have been here back in the day with the old turn one when they used to go flat through there and up the hill. I'd love to have seen some Can-Am and maybe driven it around here. So yeah, it's one of those tracks you want to get a result on, get a pole position. I've been lucky enough to win here before, but have never had a pole, so delighted to get that and very excited about the day ahead with the two level 5 cars. It's 4 hours, so we've got to really keep our noses clean, bounce back strong after our tribulations at Long Beach.
Mazda Raceway is a favorite playground of the sports car set, so it's no surprise that the American Le Mans Series GT class always puts on a show here. The last 3 years have seen Porsche, Corvette, and BMW all take the checkered flag, but a victory in GT is often in question right up to, and sometimes past, the final corner.
Excitement and hard racing are things we have come to expect in the American Le Mans Series GT category. And for ALMS rookie Matteo Malucelli, it took him only 3 races to claim his first pole position for Risi Competizione. When qualifying was all said and done, he found himself less than a tenth away from Core Autosports' Patrick Long in their brand new Porsche RS Spider. But after post-qualifying inspection, the wing was found to be 4 millimeters out of compliance, so less than half a centimeter has put Core Autosport and Patrick Long all the way at the back of the grid. Pat, while the team is very new to GT racing, you're not. What's it going to be like to fight through the pack?
It's never easy. The competition's so tough in GT right now. I've got to go through the GTC pack, which has been ultra competitive this year. But, you know, this is all about the bumps and bruises of getting your first race under your belt. These guys have been unbelievable. I've really found a new home, and we've been working hard. So it was the highs and lows yesterday. Being off pole to the Ferrari by less than a tenth was unbelievable. But we're going to fight through this day and just get through our first race, get our pit stops and strategy out of the way.
Pat will be starting. His co-driver, Tom Kimber-Smith, will have second duties.
Well, we've heard about the classes. Now let's talk about this event specifically. Welcome, everyone. I'm Brian Till, along with sports car expert John Hindhaugh. And coming into the third round of the season, it's a very different race, John. It's not a sprint like we saw last time out at Long Beach at 2 hours. It's not a 12-hour endurance race like we started the season with at Sebring, 4 hours. What's that going to do to these team strategies?
Well, at the sharp end of the field in Prototype 1, Brian, this is going to be a real tough decision. Is it 5 pit stops? Is it 5 and a splash? So there's your strategy straight away. Never mind about the length of the race. In the GT categories, we've just seen Pat Long starting at the back of the grid. That's 3 pit stops for those guys, maybe. And again, it's going to be where you take those pit stops, if you can use the safety car, if it happens. In the other 3 of the 5 classes, well, they're going to be spread out a little bit more in terms of the pit stops because they have very different fuel mileage. And that's good news for us and for you because it means we get to follow the strategy perhaps just a little easier than some of the other races we've covered this year.
And we'll see who plays that strategy to bring home the victory. And speaking of winning here, the 3rd member of our broadcast booth certainly knows how to do that. He's going to give us a look at a very specific corner here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca using Forza Motorsport 4. Here's Johnny O'Connell.
At every single racetrack around the world, there are certain corners that need to be a priority. And here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, turn 11, that's one of those corners. Why, Johnny? Let me tell you. Turn 11 leads onto the longest straightaway, and if I can come out of this corner 1 or 2 miles an hour faster than my competition, that speed grows. By the end of the straightaway, I'm 3, 4 miles an hour faster, and that's enough for me to sneak on by them. But like every corner, there's a wrong way and a right way, and using Forza Motorsport, we're going to demonstrate those to you right now. All right, now here we have the entry to turn 11. It's a great overtaking area, and what happens often is guys get in here too fast. They apex too early, and then they run out of road coming out of the corner. Very common, difficult thing not to have happen. How do we do it right? Well, we make sure that we slow our car down. We get our eyes into our apex, and we're tight to it. Then, aggressively accelerate, open up our hands, hoping our TC's working so we get a good launch down the straightaway.
Well, thanks, Johnny. Where is Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca? Well, just south of San Francisco, just east of Monterey. There's a look at this historic facility. It looks daunting on the flat surface. Well, let's have Johannes van Overbeek give us a closer look on the Patron track description.
Welcome to my home track, Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. I'm Johannes van Overbeek, driver of the Patron Honda P2 car. I'm going to take you for a tour of some of my favorite corners. Here we are at turn 2, end of the longest straightaway here at Laguna Seca. It's a tight, slippery left-hand corner, very slow. You get it wrong, it's a little bit like an island. You end up marooned. Here we are between turn 5 and turn 6. Turn 6 is very challenging. You turn in, car gets light, you have to carry your momentum. As soon as the car compresses, you're flat on the gas and up the steep hill leading to the corkscrew. Here we are on top of the world-famous corkscrew. Drops 3 stories in a couple hundred yards. It looks more intimidating than it is, but it's critical because it sets you up for turns 9 and 10. Here we are, last corner on the track, turn 11. Good passing opportunity coming in. Slowest corner on the track, probably first gear in our Patron prototype. It's critical to get a good launch off of this corner because it leads onto the front straightaway. And that's a lap at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca.
So much history here. The 15th time the American Le Mans Series will compete here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. So much history. Let's take you back to 1999, John.
Fantastic memories from so many races here, and this 1999 race. Look at the scrap going down into turn 1. We always get drama here, Brian.
And Johnny O'Connell in one of those Panos prototype roadsters out in front, but it was Jay DeLato and Steve Soper who took the victory. We'll bring you some more history throughout the day, but we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, Greg Kramer and Jeremy Shaw will bring you more.
This isn't just a car. It's a legend. This isn't just a family. It's a statement. And this isn't just a brand. It's an attitude. This is SRT. Street and Racing Technology.
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
You did it. You solved Corman's enigma. How did you do it, Professor?
Professor? No, I'm not a professor. I'm just here to see my daughter. She's a dance major. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
ESPN coverage of the American Le Mans Monterey is brought to you by Mazda. On any given weekend, more Mazdas are road raced than any other brand. Michelin, a better way forward. Tequila Patron, simply perfect.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the American Le Mans Monterey. It's great to be here for this third round of the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron. And thank you so much for coming along for what should be a great ride over the next 4 hours. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Jeremy Shaw. And Jeremy, this is one of the few tracks that's held a race in every season of the American Le Mans Series, the 15th straight visit here. It's also the third very different course we've been to this season.
Tremendous history here, and you're right, you know, we started off the season at Sebring, the bumpy, wide open runways of the old airport circuit. Then we went to Long Beach, street circuit, concrete walls all the way around the racetrack, and here a classical road course.
They have to adjust and prepare, certainly. Watchword here has also been variety. We've had races of varying lengths. This one, 4 hours. Yes, you can prepare for a race like this, but this track tends to be prone to a lot of yellows because the sand's so close. So these teams and drivers have to react as well as prepare, no?
They do. Strategy always very, very important. We saw it 3 weeks ago at Long Beach. The race was decided there about strategy when they made their pit stops. Pretty much the same here. There's also a lot of options as to whether they change tires, when they change drivers. So a lot of options for the teams, and that will unfold as the race goes along.
Not a place you want to complicate things. One team has decided to do that. Core Autosport has debuted a brand new program in GT here, all the while keeping their LMP Challenge by Continental program very much alive. In fact, that car is on pole, and Jamie Howe has that story.
Well, it was Colin Braun who claimed the PC pole position. And Colin, you and your co-driver John Bennett, you won this race last year, but it was 6 hours. Now with 4 hours, how will that change things for the team?
Well, you know, it certainly changes our strategy a little bit. We got John Bennett starting the car this time, and I'm going to get in. So, you know, it mixes up the rotation a little bit, but we've got such a good group of guys here at Core Autosport that we're hopefully going to be in the same spot at the end of the race that we were last year.
Colin is the pole sitter in the Prototype Challenge category. Justin Bell is with the pole sitter in GTC.
Jerome Bleakmoreland, 4 starts at Mazda Racing Laguna Seca, 3 pole positions and 2 wins. You must be very confident with that history as the race is about to start here.
Yeah, well, let's hope we can add another win here. It's going to be a tight race. We have 10 cars in class. They're all the same cars, so it's very close. We have about 5-6 really fast cars, so it'll be a fight till the end.
And of course, Cooper's starting the race out there. You can only watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you get on. Well done. Good luck.
Welcome to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Good crowd on hand, perfect weather conditions. The field is on the second of its pace laps before the start of this race. 4-hour race here, a lot of strategy to unfold we talked about already. We've got the Rebellion car at the front of the field. It was a really tight qualifying session yesterday afternoon, and it was Neil Jarney and Nick Heidfeld that came away with the pole position. A tremendous lap by Neil Jarney, significantly quicker than he had been earlier in the weekend, also quicker than the pole time set last year. Guy Smith came on strong towards the end of the qualifying session yesterday. That car, the Dyson Racing team had been really struggling all the way through the test session on Thursday and the practice sessions on Friday, but Guy Smith got it all together in the qualifying session. We'll line up on the outside of the front row. Guy Smith always goes well here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Took his first pole position in the American Le Mans Series in 2010, repeated on the pole in 2011, wasn't able to win on either of those occasions. This time he's going to be starting in the second place. Let's see if he can convert that into a victory. There's all sorts of stories though, all the way up and down this field, 5 different classes, all of them extremely competitive, and this is going to be one solid motor race. I can't wait for it to get started. The Mazda 6 pace car is pulling off onto the pit lane, and my co-competitor Greg Kramer has been doing all the pre-race activities, and we're ready now, Greg, to go to the green flag.
Oh, are we ever. I cannot wait for this one, and here we go. Pace car is in, and boy, the Dyson Lola did not time that very well and just that quick. It's the Muscle Milk Picket entry down the inside, Jeremy, into second, and following that Rebellion Toyota Lola down into the Andretti hairpin. They were just napping a little bit, it looked like.
Yeah, they certainly were. Guy Smith, they're very unusual for him. It's generally Chris Dyson that takes the green flag in this car, so maybe Guy's not used to taking the green flag, but he's used to taking restarts, so that was very uncharacteristic by him, and that has certainly handed the advantage now to Klaus Graf in the battle between those two. But Rebellion Racing, once again, Nick Heidfeld celebrated his birthday yesterday, did Nick Heidfeld, and today he's looking for a victory.
Well, I tell you, that was a great fun down on that grid, and Bill Arbel and Ollie Gavin and Tommy Milner were really joking it up, having fun. They just love coming here. We're on board now with one of those CompuWare Corvettes, and boy, watching them as they head up the hill here, up into the corkscrew. What a roller coaster ride this is, down. And I was wondering, the Risi Ferrari that was on pole is just plummeted down the GT order, sitting in about 4th right now. Yeah. Looks like the Falcon Tire Porsche has gone to the lead in the West. AJR Ferrari outside move on one of the LMP Challenge by Continental Cars made it work, and they sit in 2nd.
You know, we've seen it all season long. The Yokohama tires on that Team West AJR Ferrari, they really come on right away, and we've seen it in all the practice sessions here. Oh wow, there's one of the that's the 45 Flying Lizard car in GTC. Seth Nyman back at the wheel of the car for the first time after a shoulder injury, missed the first 2 races of the season. What an awful start to the for the year for Seth Nyman.
Oh, he's got to be horribly frustrated and upset right now. He is going nowhere, so that is a full course caution. That is a full course caution, and that means that pace car is going to come out in fairly short order. We're only a few minutes into this 4-hour race, and it hasn't begun. And you can see the crews up at the top there as they're just directing the traffic. Stay a little bit more to your left. The car we're dealing with is off to the right. Great aerial shot from our BMW aerial cam. And it's wonderful. Welcoming everybody here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca to our ESPN3 global feed coverage as well. So we've got the video that's going out and some spectacular shots.
There was one of the cars that also started from the back, the 02 car, Johannes van Overbeek for Extreme Speed Motorsports, one of the P2 cars. He had a problem and wasn't able to get off the grid, so they pushed him into the pit lane. He started the race from pit lane, so he was at the back of the field. You might have seen the Delta Wing car going through there towards the back of the field. That also started at the back because they've had various mechanical problems all the way through the weekend, and also because Catherine Legg, who was driving that car with Andy Merrick this weekend, Catherine had no laps during the official sessions yesterday because she had driven during the test session on Friday, but because that was not part of the official weekend, that car did have to start from the back of the grid.
And we're looking at here, as we're watching it, a little bit of history from 1999 at Monterey. The BMW win was beautiful. The V12 LMRs that J.J. Leto was such a player with. But our Johnny O'Connell was running up at the front of that one in that old Panos Roadster.
Yeah, very cool.
Great moments, yeah.
My brother-in-law, Steve Soper, was also part of that team as well. He loved driving those cars. He loved coming here as well to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Looks like Seth Nyman's car is back underway there, the Flying Lizard car number 45.
Distributing a fair amount of
that's
stuff
the
on the track.
The bad news is he's already a lap down.
Yes.
Also showing us a lap down is the car numbers 10 and 44. The one of the Dempsey Del Piero cars of Michael Avenatti, and the other Flying Lizard of Pierre Eret. So both.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's presumably therefore they had to start from the pit lane. And they're not allowed to rejoin the race until everybody has gone past for the first time. Disaster for Flying Lizard Motorsports.
Let's get down to Jamie Howe.
Actually, the number 44 of Pierre Ret did have to come into pit lane after the green flag. There was some contact there on the start of the race. I heard Pierre on the radio to the team saying you need to protest this. He was not happy. He had to come in for a new set of tires. He is back out, but as you said, he is a lap down. The 10, I also saw come down pit lane. Not sure if they were involved in that contact or not. We need to check with the team, but there was some contact on the start in GTC.
Thanks very much, Jamie. Of course, we just were on board for a minute with Pat Long, who started at the absolute back of this field in the 06 Core Autosport Composite Resources Porsche. Qualified with, there he is, qualified with the second quick time. But just interesting how, team comes here, everything's great. I guess they asked for the wing. Pat wanted a little less wing, and as they flattened it out, it put it too far back in the measurement by millimeters.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one of those things in racing. This team is brand new to this car. There's nobody. Roland Kusmol, one of the veteran Porsche engineers, is here kind of offering some advice. But the Core Autosport team, they want to do it their own way. They've got their race engineer, Gary Davis. He comes from an open wheel background, and also he's been running the Core Autosport PC car for the last couple of years. But he's new to this Porsche team as well. They just want to learn as they go along. They know they're not in championship contention. They're just here to build for the future. So, that's one of the things that got past them. But they've got a fast car this weekend.
Well, it was funny. We had the opportunity to have a rather long conversation with both Patrick and Tom Kimber-Smith, and this is Tom's first time running GT Porsches. He's won Le Mans in a GT car, but a very different one in the Panos. And I was asking him about this team, and he said it's amazing. He said Morgan Brady, who runs the team, is the manager. He said he said it's like you're in the military, only fun. And he said it's very effective. You really feel motivated. He makes that infectious throughout the team, and it pays off. And Pat Long was saying after that wing infraction, he said it's been kind of funny. He said because I've been kind of in a little team manager role myself, because he was basically saying let's not get frustrated. This happens. It's a new thing. We know we got a fast car. It's a long race. They're ready. Yeah, they absolutely are. And he's got his work to cut out now to move his way through the GTC cars to get onto the GT field. But as it is, we've said there's plenty of time for strategic calls and for the pace of that car to shine through. You talked about it being a long race. At the top of the show, we talked about it being that 4-hour race compared to 2 hours at Long Beach, 12 hours, of course, at Sebring. Fuel windows in a longer race, it opens up the options, but you still are limited as to how long you can go on that fuel. And so often we will see, some divergent strategies from teams. Well, we're going to try this because we're way at the back. We're going to roll the dice, try something new to get us up front. Yeah, I think if the first full cause caution maybe come after 10 or 15 minutes, we probably would have seen a few people ducking into pits in the pit lane, because the GT cars, they can go around about an hour. The P cars can go a little bit less than an hour. So if it'd been 15 minutes in, we might have seen some people coming in to make a pit stop. But I think for the leading contenders now, there's not really much to be gained by coming onto pit lane. But however, maybe for a couple of the guys at the back of the field that have already lost their track position, maybe they will come in. But I don't expect anybody else onto pit lane. Yeah, you're right. Obviously a bit early, but that's a good point. We do expect a couple of cars. We see a couple making the move. Why not? You're at the back. Head in. Here comes the O2. Top it off. That opens up that fuel window a little bit in case you catch a yellow at the right time. Yeah, just they've done 4 laps in the books now, so that car had to start from the back. Wheels straight. And so why not? No harm, no foul here. They're already at the back of the field, so they're now going to start with they'll have a little bit more fuel than everybody else. And Jamie's there.
Well, Johannes Van Overbeek will stay in the car. This is purely a strategy move. They were already at the back, decided to go ahead, get this first pit stop out of the way. It's fuel and tires. The reason they left the grid late was because they had an electrical issue. They went ahead, swapped out that steering wheel. The car fired up just fine after that. So as he is at the back of the pack, they went ahead and made this early stop. Justin?
Well, the 45 has come in after its little off on the uphill section. All they were doing was making the chance to change the tires, get rid of the old ones, and obviously clear out some of that gravel and dust from the rotors. So a nice clean stop, and Seth Neyman is back out on track.
All right, thanks very much, Justin. And we had a good shot there of one of those tires as it came off. And you can see, even early in the race, there's a lot of junk when you go off like that. And at this point, better to come in, the race has started. Now you can change your tires, come in, get a fresh set on there that are nice and grippy, and get back out. And for Seth Nyman, last time he drove a car in competition, it was a GT level Porsche. This is GT Challenge, still pretty stout, but not quite like a GT car, and a backwards adjustment in a way a little bit. And it's going to be an interesting day for him. But for the 93 SRT Motorsports Pennzoil Ultra Viper, that's not what you want to see either here. Jonathan Bomarito sitting in pit lane.
First gear. Yeah, Kuno Whitmer starting that car,
yes,
I think, for this race, and the wheels spinning on the back. That's not a good sign either.
No, you could hear him say, put it in first gear and go. That usually means there's some significant issue in the driveline.
Yeah, something in the drivetrain there. And they've been the Viper team, they had fabulously strong at Sebring and at Long Beach, but this weekend just struggling, particularly with the car on the entry to the corner. It's a fairly low grip racetrack here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. It's a very fine asphalt, and with all the sand that blows around, you can see the sand just off the racing surface. When that gets blown on here, it makes the place pretty slippery. And it's quite warm this afternoon, also a lot warmer than it has been for the rest of the weekend. But you know, they've just been struggling. They can't get the car down to the apex of the corner. I was talking to Dominic Farnbacher and Jonathan Bomarito a little while ago this afternoon, and they were saying, you know, the car is good through the middle of the corner and good off the corners, but they can't get it with any confidence into the corner. It just feels unbalanced, and they can't carry that momentum through the apex of the corner.
Of course, this team has never run these cars. They've run it all here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca since the first races for this program last year came after this event was held. So their data book is blank in terms of this, and you know, obviously there's some pretty good sims and the like that they're able to put on here. So it's an interesting dynamic that this team is going to be dealing with here, just trying to get a little bit of knowledge into this package and get it all set up. So, well, we're going to take a look at some.
Once the race director determines that it is time for a full course caution, the first order of business is to dispatch the safety car. So the safety car will leave pit lane, and they will pick up the first car that they get to on the racetrack. It does not matter where they are in their class, because the next order of business is to get each of the class leaders in front of the rest of their classes. So we have a class leader here, a class leader here, with these two in the same class, and these two in the same class. So these two cars are eligible for a pass around because their class leader is behind them. So they'll say commence pass arounds. These cars will move to the outside, and they will then begin their pass arounds and go all the way to the back of the pack. Now what we've achieved is we have a class leader behind the safety car, and nobody has lost a lap to their respective class leader.
So with that objective having been met, the race director can now open pit lane, and that whole process can sequence through. But obviously, naturally, with all the variables involved, at the end of that, the cars are jiggled around again when they rejoin the racetrack. But now the objective is simpler. All the race director wants to see is any class leader immediately behind the safety car. So we have the wave-by procedure. Here we have one car in front of a class leader. He is given a wave-by, he disappears off, and there we have it. The field is set for the green flag restart. Now, of course, the consequences for getting this wrong are incredibly severe. 2 laps which will effectively take you out of any chance of victory here at Laguna Seca.
So that's how that unfolds, and we come back to green flag. This one is back and underway after the issues for the number 45 Lizards car. We had a couple of pit stops. One became a little bit more involved, we believe, for the number 93 as we were watching this unfold. There are your top 3 overall. That is your 3rd place car overall. And in the LMP1 category, the number 16 Dyson Lola Mazda from that legendary North American sports car racing team. This is the 30th year of professional racing for Dyson and his team. That's pretty remarkable, Jeremy.
Yeah, certainly is, and a tremendous enthusiasm there. But boy, he's been left behind at the start, hasn't he? What a great getaway there, once again, by Nick Heidfeld. And he's pulling away from Klaus Graf, who indeed is pulling away also from Guy Smith. But look at him twitching that car coming downhill into turn 10. Here is our P2 leader on board with Scott Tucker.
4th overall at this stage. But he's got company. Look at this. Oh, real racy right up behind him is, I think that's Guy Cosmo.
Yep. Certainly is. A guy
Great
called
restart for Guy.
He always shines here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Has a pole here in GTC competition. He's been quick in GT cars as well, and indeed in prototypes. So a lot of experience, and he's trying now to wrest away the lead from Scott Tucker. He's managed to find his way past Ryan Briscoe, who's running here. We're on board now with Ryan Briscoe in 3rd place.
Had a nice chat with...
the 2 level 5 cars sandwiching the ESM car. Sorry about that.
And the team owner for Extreme Speed Motorsports, Scott Sharp, when I was talking to him, he said, you know, he said, we did not have quite the qualifying run. We had this car in that practice session right before qualifying. Ended up hitting a curb really hard and broke a wheel that did a little damage to the suspension. They got it fixed, got it back out, but Scott said, we feel real good about the race pace of the car, and hopefully we'll be able to make that work. And right now, doing a nice job. We get a report that the 62 Racing Competizione Ferrari has got a stop-and-go penalty for a restart infraction, I believe.
Wow. Overtaking during the caution period, someone overtaking in the yellow. Maybe he got on a jump too soon at the restart. I don't know what it was, but it was a good move there by Guy Smithy, Guy Cosmo, forgive me. He made a great run out of turn 6, got the run on Scott Tucker up the hill towards turn 8, and the ESM car now leads in P2, and Ryan Briscoe will take the opportunity also to nip past his team boss into turn 11.
And no doubt his team boss, who knows he'll be getting into the car that Briscoe is in later, didn't have a big issue with letting him go through and chase down Guy Cosmo. Let's check in on the GT Challenge category. And we are on board the WeatherTech Porsche, and it is now 2nd as Cooper McNeil finds himself running behind the Momo NGT entry, and here comes the Racing Competizione Ferrari for that stop and go.
Started on the pole, Matteo Malucelli, a magnificent effort given his first time here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, but a poor start saw him drop to 3rd place, and then we haven't seen yet what he actually did to incur the wrath of the stewards, but he gets a stop-and-go penalty, and that will put him all the way to the back of the pack. That'll be a hard road to hoe to get from well behind everybody else. So not a good start for Racing Competizione. On the other hand, the number 23 Ferrari, Townsend Bell, a fabulous start up into 2nd place behind the Falcon Tire Porsche of Brian Sellers.
And it goes from bad to worse. The Ferrari is going to be called back in for a stop and go, speeding on pit lane. So, boy, this is just a horrific start after a great qualifying run for this team. As they head up the hill, and they are right in the mix. He came out right in the middle now of this battle for the GT Challenge category lead. Up front, Enrique Cisneros in that Momo NGT entry leads it, and Cooper McNeil, who we're riding with, or we now hop on board with Enrique, looking back on, I'm sure, a very frustrated Pilote in that number 62.
Yeah, boy, Matteo Malucelli not covering himself in glory this afternoon. 28 years old from Italy, his debut season in the American Le Mans Series, but he's got a lot of experience driving this sort of car in Europe, and 2 mistakes here. Speeding in pit lane, I mean, there's a speed limit on pit lane on every racetrack we go to. That's for the safety of all the crews working on the pit lane. Everybody knows about it. All of the cars have electronic systems on them. When you press the speed limiter button, the car will not go more than that speed limit. So I guess Matteo either let off the speed limiter too soon or didn't press it early enough coming into pit lane, one of the two, and the net result, a second penalty, and that will almost certainly drop him off the lead lap.
Yeah, there are 2 very clear markers coming in and leaving where you got to have it slow down at that point. Here's your leader in the LMP Challenge by Continental category, Duncan Endy, the number 9 RSR. Johnson controls Orica, and is having a very good run here in the early going, 7th overall, and has leapfrogged John Bennett. And we get a reported issue for the number 81, Jeremy. We're going to take a look at what unfolded for this car.
Yeah, Mirko Schultes, the German, starting the 81 car share, and Greg van der Zende. Oh, yikes. He just ran off the road there at the exit of turn 3. The Corvette was right close up behind him. And when Schultes' car came back on the track, it veered across the middle of the road. Nothing the Corvette driver could do in that instance. Contact is made, and off goes Schultes. So that certainly wasn't the Corvette driver's fault.
Boy, there is the Tully's Dempsey Del Piero GT Challenge car down in pit lane, Justin.
Well, guys, I don't know if you can see it on the camera here, but this was what came out of the procedure of unwinding their rear left wheel nut. They sat there for about 45 seconds just spinning the gun, and the whole hub was just literally threaded the nut, so really not a good stop for them, not what they wanted.
Patrick Dempsey was inside the car, and I could see his eyes on the 27 car, and he just looked mildly frustrated, to put it like that. Anyway, they're back out right now, and I tell you what, this is the way it means that the next pit stop, it could happen again.
Not good in there is a sad story. The number 93 Viper, Jeremy, behind the wall, back in the garage, and they're pouring over some data, but they've got some issues. So, and he got called in again for speeding once again. So maybe there's something that's not set right in that limiter that they run. And so I hope this time he just put it in a low gear and lugged it all the way down pit lane to get that solved at this point. When we were looking at the Dempsey Del Piero stop, also Ted Ballou in the number 99 Competition Motorsports Axe Advisors car had stopped as well. So some issues early. And big wiggle right there as we head down, and that is into and out of the Andretti hairpin. Battling unfolding here in the the LMP Challenge category. Mike Gouache in front of the 05 core entry of John Bennett, and Chris Cumming in that number 8 machine. Blue, white, and blue and orange.
I think the scoring is showing that the P2 leader, Guy Cosmo, came onto pit lane as well in the 01 car. He'd just taken the lead from the level 5 guys. We haven't seen why, but the scoring is showing him as on the pit lane at the moment. So, boy, there's a lot of cars having dramas early in this race. There is the 01 car. Attention, it looks like there's a
cut tire.
Jamie Howe is there.
Yes, and this has been a pretty quick pit stop, but completely off schedule. It was a flat tire on the right rear of that car. He did go ahead and take fuel. 4 new Michelins. The Guy Cosmo already back out.
Wow. You can see that tire completely disintegrated there, the left rear. Good work there by ESM to get him back out in a fray, but again, he will have lost a lot of track time, and I think he's going to be in danger of going a lap down. I think he might just about get back onto the track before Ryan Briscoe comes around. In fact, we look in the back behind a bit, we might see Ryan Briscoe coming through, but that's certainly a disappointing start for Guy Cosmo after a tremendous initial start to the race.
Well, and you know, some of this is we've had a few cars off already. We had Seth's car off into that gravel, not just that soft sand, which usually just slippery, but that gravel with the rough edges. It comes back out. You hit that just right, pack it into a curb. It can cut a tire. It can pop a wheel, do the valve stem. I mean, so many things can happen. And I would venture that's probably what happened to Guy Cosmo. And that's a shame because he had a run going.
Behind him there was the bright red Ferrari of Matteo Malicelli after all his dramas in the early stages. He's currently shown as 1 lap down only to the leaders in GT, but he's got a lot of ground to make up. And clearly, I think you're right, Greg, there must be, I'm assuming we don't know, we're not privy to the information of where he exactly on pit lane he was speeding, whether it was going out or coming in. But we've got to assume if he does it twice that there's some malfunction on the electronic system on that car.
Boy, this is pretty interesting here as the Momo NGT machine leads in GTC. Then it's the Tully's car that came out of the pits, is down a lap. Then it is Cooper McNeil in that white number 22 WeatherTech entry. And right behind him, a very racy Racers Group machine, Craig Stanton in that Adobe Road Winery car, the blue and black machine. And these two guys are running in 2nd and 3rd in class. And they are watching that Momo car of Cisneros just check out.
Yeah, that's the number 30 car, the Momo NGT motorsport car that won the last round at Long Beach. Enrique Cisneros sharing then with Sean Edwards, who is away racing in the Michelin Super Cup this weekend in Germany, qualified on pole position for tomorrow's race, the first round of the Porsche Super Cup. But his place taken this weekend by another very experienced and indeed a factory Porsche driver, Nick Tandy. Look at this battle going on here.
Well, I'll tell you, yeah, Cooper McNeil had to check up just a little bit when that 81 went by, and Craig Stanton thought about it going down the inside of Rainy Curve. You got to get that done real early, and he decided, no, maybe not.
Maybe not. And yeah, credit here to Craig Stanton. Good to see the veteran back with TRG this weekend, but TRG, they've been really struggling. Whoa, another problem in the pit lane. Justin Bell.
Yeah, they actually don't seem to be in position as they pull in. There's a lot of hand waving right now. And they went out with the fuel nozzle and then retreated back to the wall. As you know, there's regulations on a number of people there. They're taking off the rear bodywork. So this is definitely unscheduled. And I'll do a little bit of delving for you, Jeremy and guys, and find out what's happening.
All right, thanks, Justin. And just horrible news for a team that has been ever quick at this venue, and really they were very enthused about. I talked to a guy earlier down in the grid, and he said, we really think we've got a good race car here. He said, we're in this one to be sure, and we're excited about it. Look at that. You hate hands up like don't know.
Oh, it's been just a dismal start to the season for Dyson Racing. Nothing but bad luck. No points on the board, and boy, this is going to be an extended stop by the look of it. They're just trying to diagnose the problem. They get all the information is being transferred by telemetry from the car to the pit box there, so they'll be trying to analyze that data and find out exactly what is wrong with that Lola Mazda. Lots of tools.
Well, it's never a good sign. It's one thing when you plug the computer in, but when you bring out the wrenches, that means it's going to be a long stop. And there, that second, the middle car there, that is your leader in GT Challenge. And the Delta Wing is in, and they are now making a switch on those Bridgestone Potenzas, Jamie.
They are taking the time to go ahead and change those Bridgestone tires, but their problems are bigger than that. Catherine Legg radio to the team reporting no power, so things are pretty calm down here on pit lane right now. It has been a bit of a weekend of struggle as they continue to develop the new Alarm power plant in the Delta Wing. The team still going through their paces, trying to learn things, but there's certainly no rush on pit lane at the moment.
No, their goal coming into the race was just a finish. They had a couple of good tests over the last few weeks. They tested at Roebling Road a couple of weeks ago. They tested also at Buttonwillow Raceway Park in the Central Valley, California earlier this week, and they thought they were going, they were making good progress. It was showing good reliability, but this weekend it's been nothing but dramas for that Delta Wing car.
Taking a look at our leader in GT, the Falcon Tire Porsche, having a very good run at the hands of Brian Sellers. And one more thing about the Delta Wing, how unique is that program? 3 lug nuts on those front wheels. I mean, everything about that program is very, very different. There is the car now in second, Ollie Gavin, who I think was the one who got into the back of that LMP Challenge car. And yep, you can see the little wrinkle there just to the right of the Flex Fuel logo on your screen. And then right behind him is his teammate, Jan Magnussen. So they've gone around the number 23. That's the Team West AJR Ferrari of Townsend Bell. So the 2 Corvettes didn't qualify quite as well as they would have wanted, but early on, second and third.
Yeah, that's we kind of come to expect that, don't we? The Corvettes sometimes don't qualify quite as quick as some of the others, but they do race awfully well. These are really good handle on these cars. And for Townsend Bell, he's still running in 4th place with the Greece again. We saw how quickly the Yokohama tires come up to speed. It looked like the number 8 PC car, Chris Cummings, was going slowly there as well. The Yokohama tires come up to speed very quickly on the number 23 car, but still settling there in 4th place and ahead of the number 56 BMW.
Right behind him is Bill Overland, but right now that Ferrari is sitting in 4th spot, Justin.
Yes, and I mean, I'm talking with the team over the course of the weekend. Those Yokohamas, and anyone that's been around sports cars for a long time knows, Yokohamas work very well around Laguna Seca in a certain temperature range, which is a little cooler than it is right now. So every day the track has got hotter and the ambient has raised, the car has struggled to keep quite the same pace. But I think Townsend's been doing an amazing job out there keeping that car at the front. And I think they're looking forward to the later stages of this race when the temperature drops, and then we'll see those tires come back into their optimum operating range. So he's doing a great job there, guys.
Oh, he is, Justin. And also there's damage to the left rear corner of that car. So not exactly sure what it came from, but you may want to check on that. And that's maybe why Bill Overland is looking awfully racy right now behind him.
Yeah, and Yokohama came here with a couple of different constructions for the front tires for the Ferrari, so they really are working hard, as Justin Bell was saying, and they're making tremendous progress too, because Yokohama has a long history in sports car racing, but it's certainly been a while since they've been running up at the front, and that's exactly what they're doing here. The car was strong at Sebring, the car was very strong at Long Beach, and it's been strong here too, and a great effort here, and certainly that damage on the rear end of that car is not going to be helping Townsend Bell's cause.
Bill getting in there, getting close.
Good heads-up driver there, Townsend.
Yeah,
he gave him a little bit of room at the apex there and was able to maintain his position. And Bill Overland, again, early stages, he's not going to push the issue too hard at this stage.
I think if there had been a complete bumper on that left corner, Bill may have just touched it, but since it wasn't there. Right behind Bill, you see we're on board now with the number 56 BMW from Ray Letterman Lanigan of Dirk Mueller. and he's right in the fray of this one, and they're working some traffic right now from the GT Challenge category, one of the Lizards cars.
Indeed, and right behind the two of BMWs is the sole remaining driver, kind of a what, Dominic Barber, who took the pole at Long Beach. He's right in there now, so showing better race pace than qualifying pace, perhaps. And Patrick Long is pretty tight behind these guys as well. There he is, right on the tail of the Viper, going up the hill towards turn 6. And Marco Holzer in the number 48 Chopin Watches car, also in close contention.
Oh, that Lizard car, I think that was the 44.
Yeah, I think it was.
Had it go awry in the hands of Pierre Arret, and that, guess where, turn 6.
Yeah.
Boy, that is a difficult corner. Look at this GT field. Yeah, you talked about it. There is that Chopin Watches entry, so we've got a pack of GT equipment. And they're coming up, trying to get by the Adobe Road Winery Racers Group machine, swinging the outside around turn 10. And that is where having a driver of Craig Stanton's knowledge and ability in that car, that they're lapping, keeping it tight on the exit of that turn, knowing those guys were sweeping the outside.
I think that was Ben Keating in that particular car, but you're right. Craig he's doing a good job running in second place now to Enrique Cisneros. So Craig Sander has got past Cooper McNeil, but there is Pierre Arret buried deep in the gravel. Yes, yellow number 2.
And we just got a report from the radio that something may have broken in the car.
That's exactly right. I was listening to that team radio for Flying Lizard, and Pierre radio to the team saying he has no idea what happened when he was going through turn 6. Something just broke loose. He was on his way into pit lane before he ended up in the gravel. So we'll have to wait and see what happened, but day has gone worse for Flying Lizard Motorsports.
Man, 3 early problems now, and that car is buried deep. It's going to take a while to get that car out and back into the race.
So we've had 2 full course cautions, both coming in turn 6 in the right spot, and both Lizards cars.
Yeah.
Not a good day for a few of these teams.
Man, I'll say. But this is going to bring out, it has brought out the caution, and this time we will see some cars onto pit lane. I fancy we'll see quite a few, and we're kind of not quite halfway through a full stint here, but most of the teams, I think, will probably take the opportunity to come onto pit lane and top up with fuel. Some of them will. I don't think we'll see any driver changes in the prototype ranks. In the professional classes, the drivers only have to do a minimum of 30 minutes behind the wheel of the car. So within the regulations, they are now good to change, and the second driver can take over to go to the end. But I don't think there's much point in doing that here. It's a very different strategic options that are open to the teams here in a 4-hour race compared to at Long Beach when it's just a 2-hour race 3 weeks ago. But the Pro-Am classes, the challenge classes, right. PEC Challenge and GT Challenge, their drivers have to do a minimum of 1 hour and 10 minutes before they come and make that driver change. So I don't think we'll see any changes amongst the drivers, certainly in GTC.
For a moment there, we just had a look at the number 81 entry from the LMP Challenge by Continental class, Mirko Schultes behind the wheel of that car. Qualified exceptionally well, but has had some issues here in the early going and is now 7th in class, 22nd overall. There it is. And the young Dutchman that did that qualifying run was great, but look at the body work there on that right, just in front of the right corner of the car. It has come loose and is flapping around.
Yeah, and this car previously was entered as a Dragon Speed with Mission Motors. Now the entrant has changed to 8-star with Mission Motors, and Elton Julian, along with the Aronson brothers, David and Pete, are the team principals at Dragon Speed, and they've done an arrangement with Enzo Potlico at 8-star.
The car pulls me out. It's just drifting out from the
Hence the new entry lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And of course, that was the car that lost it coming out of turn number 3 and ended up getting collected in that corner by that Corvette. All right, well, we're going to step away for just a moment here, and of course it's a very special weekend here at the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca.
Hey, I want to send a shout out to all the moms out there who are kind enough, thoughtful enough, that have allowed us to enjoy ourselves on this Mother's Day weekend racing. We haven't forgot about you, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to all mothers out there, and a special happy Mother's Day to my wife who's about to give birth to our twins.
Doc? Doc? Goose!
our technology builds some of the best tires in the world. Because when it comes to performance, we don't just play around.
Cheater, we said no 360s.
Who's up for some leapfrog?
Now relax. Let the chi flow from the inner Zhang Fu organs outwards as the needles open your meridians.
Oh, it feels so good. I really thought the needles would hurt.
So did I. I hate needles.
That must make it hard to do what you do.
Oh, not really. I deliver paninis. Easy acupuncturist. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
The American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron. The fusion of man, mind, and machine in the ultimate test, where the fight for first is around every corner and the sole focus of every driver. It's 100% adrenaline because the battle for the win is everything. And there's only one place in North America to see the thrills of Le Mans. It's the American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron.
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Well, there's what may await us a little bit later in the day. That is the thermal inversion. Some call it the marine layer. And that eventually, as everything cools off, starts to move in. And when it gets to the point that it obscures the sun a little bit, the temperatures plummet. And that's when the engineers start going, uh-oh, what do we need to do? We may need to adjust tire pressures. We may need to change compounds. There's all kinds of things at a wait here as we give you this great view of Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca from our BMW aerial cam. That's a look at the hairpin, the Andretti hairpin, turn 2 essentially of this great track as this field continues under caution. And we are hoping to be able to go back to green here in fairly short order. And pits are open now for the prototypes, and I would think, Jeremy, we might see some takers this time.
Yeah, I think we probably will, actually. There's only 2 prototypes still running at the front of the field in P1, certainly. We've got problems for Dyson Racing and for the Delta Wing. So Nick Heidfeld and Klaus Graf were pretty much in a class of their own in the early stages. There's no question the Rebellion car seemed to have very much the upper hand. The fastest lap by that car was at 1 minute 14.8, whole second quicker than Klaus Graf has managed in the early stages. Good battle though in P2. Johannes van Overbeek, despite starting from the back, has got himself ahead of Scott Tucker, so splitting the 2 level 5 cars. Ryan Briscoe leads in the 552 car, followed by the 02 of Johannes van Overbeek, and then the 551 of Scott Tucker. And Guy Cosmo, after making that unscheduled pit stop, is, I think, a lap down in 4th place in that class.
Yeah, tough day for that half of the Extreme Speed Motorsports program. Here's why this caution is taking a little bit here. Indeed, something has apparently broken. Well, now he's able to start it up. They brought out the flatbed, thought they were going to have to take care of it, but now he's driving away. But that doesn't look quite right, Jeremy, the way that car's porpoising.
Hopping around. I think there's a problem on the right rear of the car.
Yeah, along with the gravel that's falling out there, there is some smoke that's coming off of that. So there's something, it's cut, you can see.
Yeah, at least.
Boy, that's going to be a very, very long completion. And let's get down. Jamie Howe, our overall leader, is in.
And Neil Johnny will stay in the car. It looks like it will be a fuel-only pit stop. They do not have a fresh set of Michelin tires up on the wall and ready just yet. Fuel is depleted. They are going to double stint these tires, so they're clearly happy with the way the race is running so far.
Yeah, thumbs up there from the crew guy. And Jeremy, we've got to be incredibly impressed. Again, this is the first time this team has run the full season here. They've never raced at Long Beach. They've never raced here, and they unload and they're there. I mean, they really have done their due diligence in getting ready to come here and race in North America.
Yeah, very, very impressive, particularly as the Pickett Racing car. They'd won the race last year. They were expected to be the quickest car here. and there is the Pickett car in second place. So they too have made a pit stop. I don't know whether they changed tyres or not. Certainly a longer pit stop though than was for the Rebellion car. But yeah, super impressive for the number 12, and we're hearing there was tyres as well changed on that number 6 car.
And there is the Rebellion now. It has caught the back of the field at this point, so it's going to be entertaining watching these two cars that when they pitted from the first and second overall spots are going to be coming up through the field as we go back to green again. Hopefully that'll be happening soon. They probably just have to finish cleaning up a little bit of the track. Now, we were talking about what happened to the 0-1, and this was it. They came in and there was that flat tire, and it was seriously deranged.
Yeah, it certainly was. It had completely come apart there, so presume he must have run over something out on the racetrack, and very rare for a tire to come apart like that. But it cost them a lap to the other contenders in P2. So the good news is the car is back in the fray, but it is a lap down.
And of course we saw the number 16 Dyson entry come into the pits, and they removed the rear deck of the car, and then they brought out a lot of wrenches to get to work on some issue with the car. Not exactly sure what it was, but you can see the crew member just sort of pointing. Now our GT field, whether it's GT or GT Challenge, they are in en masse.
Yeah, they are. Virtually everybody onto pit lane, both in GT and GTC. There is our leader in GT.
And that looks like going to be a full change, Justin.
Yeah, you could feel the tension in every mechanic and team personnel waiting for Brian to come in. Leading this race is a fabulous way to start this 4-hour event. And right now they're just changing tires. Brian is staying in the car. Tweaking up there, so he's obviously pleased. What an amazing drive in the opening stint for Brian Sellers, Jamie.
Well, both Corvettes, number 4 and the number 3, are on pit road as well. The number 4 came in first, but the number 3 finished the pit stop first with fuel and Fortune tires. And it is a race off of pit lane. Both of the BMWs are also in. And it looks like the number 56 beat the Corvettes off of pit road as well. So the order has shuffled, but clean stop. So.
Boy, and I'll tell you, it's amazing watching Oliver Gavin's eyes as we went to that shot as he started to exit the pit box. Everything he was dealing with, looking for traffic coming over his shoulder. You don't want to run into somebody coming out, looking down at the pit speed limiter, looking at that rear view camera, looking at all the gauges, and getting himself up to speed. You know, people think you get in a car and just drive. Not these days.
No, indeed. And I think all of the GT leaders came in during that caution, so we're going to see how the order is reset once they all get come around again. And the Racing Competizione Ferrari is showing us back on the lead lap.
Well, they may have stayed out.
I thought we saw them just coming out of the pit lane, but maybe I think he must have stayed out, because I can't think of any other way that he could have got back onto the lead lap.
I was going to say, after what, 3 pit stops, penalties.
Yeah, they must
to end up still on the lead lap. They are playing a strategy card. We talked about that at the top of the show. You've got to react to things, and if they are indeed on the lead lap, they've reacted rather well.
It's showing us 4 pit stops for that car. Well, 3 of them were penalties.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they did make a stop just now. But anyhow, scoring shows them as back on the lead lap. So. You know, game on again for Racing Competizione.
Boy,
very
isn't
much.
It? And we saw the Momo NGT machine come in. So it is now Cooper McNeil that is sitting up on the point of things right now. Well, as we are enjoying the caution activities here, Jamie Howe a little bit earlier checked in with things going on with Corvette.
We're following racing influence on the development of the new Corvette Stingray. So Taj Youngter is the Corvette chief engineer. Taj, how is this new Corvette Stingray race inspired?
Well, racing inspired is a term that marketing people use when they try to make a connection between racing and the street cars that isn't really there. So we really don't talk that way about the new Corvette Stingray. We take the actual race car technologies and apply them to the street car, whether it's aerodynamics, brake cooling, use of materials, you name it. We take the stuff right off the race car, we put it on a street car. We've been building Corvettes for 60 years. We've been racing for almost that long. We've proven to ourselves that if you can build a car that's bulletproof in endurance racing, the street car will last forever.
Well, I can't wait to do some laps in that new car myself. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, if you have any influence on that. But if you want to learn more about the development of the new C7, you can go to CorvetteStingray2014.com. You might even see more of Taj there, too. Thank you, Taj.
Thank you very much.
That's exciting developments, obviously, and that they're thinking that for the race car that will be making its debut in 2014, that new C7, they're looking at they chatting with the team said, you know, we're actually a little bit ahead of schedule. We think we may be able to be out testing with that in July. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting project for next year. I think we're getting ready now to get back to green flag racing. We've got maybe it's the PC leader. Yes, it's the PC leader. When we go back to green flag racing, whatever the first class leader behind the pace car, safety car, that will lead the field to the green flag. In this case, it is Duncan Endy, and a great, once again, a very, very good first stint for RSR Racing. Car number 9 leads away at the restart.
Boy, and he has got a few GT machines behind him, separating him from the others in class. This is a great opportunity for him to build a pretty good margin. There's the Rebellion Toyota now trying to work through some of the traffic down to the inside. Aggressive move by Klaus Graf. I thought he might try and just stove it down there. I think you realized that Nick Heidfeld was going to be shutting the door, turning in to turn 3, and decided, nope, just tuck back in.
And right behind those two, we see the GTC leaders. It was Cooper McNeil in car number 22 for Alex Job Racing that led to the green flag. But I think we saw the gold Hertz entry at JDX Racing. That would be Mike Headland, the local, well, from the Bay Area driver who has taken the lead in GTC.
And, oh, little bump there, and it almost caught out the Rebellion Toyota as Duncan Endy trying to get by that Lizards car. They touched, and it almost pitched him into the Rebellion Toyota. That was a great piece of reactive driving by Nick Heidfeld to move as far to the left as he could and let him through. Here comes Graf now through on Duncan Endy.
Yeah, some fraught moments, aren't there, in the early stages of this race. We've got 46 minutes in now, and people should be settling down, but some of them don't seem to be. But again, a good restart there once more by Nick Heidfeld. He will lead across the line on lap 27, back in the lead of the race. Boy, some penalties being handed out as well. So there goes the Dyson car back out into the fray. Let's hope to get back up to speed.
That is just a shame because they were showing such great pace. Speaking of which, Johannes van Overbeek having a very good run here, sitting 4th overall right now, 2nd in the P2 category. Ryan Briscoe in the 552 leads it as we hop on board with Guy Smith, and we'll see whether he's actually up to pace. Well, at this point, he's not. He's letting cars just flow by him at this. I think they basically sent him out to see if that car is fixed, if it can be fixed, what the issue might be, and he's definitely not at full song.
No, he's not. You're absolutely right. But it's not looking good for Dyson Racing again, but 3 retirements in a row would be hard to swallow, certainly for this very hard-working team. They struggled at Sebring, but certainly had a competitive car at Long Beach 3 weeks ago, and they came here with high expectations. And Chris Dyson certainly struggled with the car this weekend, but Guy Smith has been pretty happy with the way the car has been working and qualified in 2nd place, so ahead of the Muscle Milk HPD car. So that was a very promising effort for Dyson Racing, but it seems to have all come to naught in the very early stages of this race.
After the pit stopping changes, there is your leader in GT, Jan Magnussen, the CompuWare Corvette, the Falcon Tire Porsche number 17, the dark blue and teal entry right behind. Then it is one of the BMWs, Bill Oberlin, the number 55 Crown Royal BMW Rail Letterman Lanigan entry next up. Then Gavin in the Team Corvette, and then Mueller in the Team BMW. And we are on board with Bill Oberlin. It's pretty funny down doing the pre-race stuff. Tommy Milner was standing there and was razzing Bill a little bit, and Bill looked at him and said, "You ever partied with the mayor?"
Yeah, that's right. And Bill Baldwin referring there to the Long Beach race 3 weeks ago, where He had a fantastic victory for BMW Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. And Bill Oberlin lives in Redondo Beach, pretty much the next city across from Long Beach. And there was a big party that night in Redondo Beach as Bill Oberlin always buddies celebrating. Somebody called the mayor, who came on down and joined in the party. He actually gave Bill Oberlin a key to the city of Redondo Beach. So very cool recognition for one of the good guys in racing. Here's some very tight action here. Yes. The number 4 Corvette is muscled on wide now. Oliver Gavin really caught off guard at turn 6, and 2 cars go past him.
Actually, I think he got balked just a little bit behind one of the GT Challenge cars, and Mueller got a tremendous run. He came up the inside, and a pretty savvy move. The Viper said, well, I'm just going to follow him through. Dom Farnbacher, now behind the wheel of that car, just did exactly that, and was able to drive through. Behind them is Pat Long, still in the 06 Porsche, that white one right behind that number 4 Corvette. But that's how things can change in this GT class. Between 2 corners, you lose 2 spots.
Yes, a big train of cars here. You can see Magnussen leads in the Corvette, then Brian Sellers in the Porsche, Bill Oberlin and Dirk Mueller in the 2 BMWs, Dirk Farbacher for SRT Viper, and then Oliver Gavin in the 2nd Corvette, Patrick Long for Porsche, and then Townsend Bell and Matteo Malucelli in the pair of Ferraris.
Boy, in the 81 that had that contact early with the Corvette, now it's being called in for a 2nd pit speed violation, stop and go.
Number 8 car, was that?
81.
81, was it?
Yeah, the 81 entry is the report, and also the 93 Viper, which I think is still behind the wall, but if they do come back out, apparently they're going to get a penalty for too many people over the wall. Really, that one's kind of academic at this point, as they are not even out in pit lane. But Oberlin, ooh, some big lockup, big black stripe there by Brian Sellers heading into the corkscrew off of that right side.
Yeah, laying down some Falcon tire rubber there, wasn't he? Under braking for the corkscrew.
Big time, and you want to be careful of that flat spot. If you really get a flat spot on there, that can make your day very, very dicey. Oberlin right now truly has the ears pinned back, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's on a roll right now. That great victory at Long Beach. He and Maxime Martin, the Belgian driver, just his 2nd ALMS start. And to be fair, he made a mistake in the early stage of that race, but that mistake opened up the opportunities for strategic calls by the team, and the team made absolutely the right calls, called him at the right time, topped off with fuel at the right time, and had Bill Oberlin out in front when it was go time for the final hour of the race, and Bill did the rest from there. He's not about to throw away an opportunity like that. But you know, he's very much, as you said, got his tail up and charging hard now, trying to get close again to Brian Sellers, and Brian Sellers once again closing in on Jan Magnussen at the battle for the lead in GT, going up the hill towards turn 6.
Look at that, you've got 6 cars right there, the GT battle. Magnussen, Sellers, Oberlin, Mueller, Farnbacher, Gavin, and then not far behind him is Pat Long. And I'll tell you, these cautions have really helped out that 06 Core Autosport car that started way at the back like that. It was able to get through the GT traffic, but it was a long way in terms of track position away from this GT field. Not anymore.
No, and Patrick Long, he's had 4 wins, I think, here in the past at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, so he knows how to get around this place in a Porsche 911 RSR. He's doing that just now and closing in on that trail of cars, pretty much dicing for the lead in GT.
The 2 Ferraris battling right now. I believe that is for the 8th spot in the GT category. Townsend Bell in the Team West AJR red and white Ferrari, and behind him is Matteo Malucelli, who really had not the kind of start you want to this race, but they've been able to somehow stay in that lead lap and keep themselves in with a shout.
Yeah, I'm honestly not quite sure how they managed to do that, because they did seem to come into the pit lane along with everybody else. I guess all I can assume is they came in 1 lap later than everybody else, but it didn't seem to be that case. Anyhow, however it was, they are back on the lead lap and very much back in contention. About at the front of the field, it's still Nick Heidfeld who leads over Klaus Graf, but what's interesting is that having changed tyres at that first round of pit stops, the number 6 car now staying much closer to the number 12 of Nick Heidfeld in the battle for the lead overall, number 12 and number 6.
I think that was a great call, because they were both going to go back, and they basically were going to be on the same piece of track. You get yourself a fresher set of tires, obviously didn't have, in the tires they had, what was on the car didn't quite have the pace of that Rebellion Toyota. Make some changes, put on a different set, see what happens.
Yeah, and particularly in number 60, particularly when they see that the Rebellion car is not changing tires, hey, we might as well go and change tires. We're going to have fresher running. Maybe then you can track the car down and past it. Kind of doing what the opposite of what the other guy does.
Yeah, exactly. And Ollie Gavin, something is, and I wonder if you know, that was the car we think. You could see that right front corner up a little bit, and that was the car that got into the back of the 81 entry when it spun. And if it isn't had just done a little something to that car, because he's just slowly dropping back a little bit, and Dominic Farnbacher, the 91 Fast and Furious 6 SRT Viper, has gone around him.
Yeah, he got around him when he got hung out to dry up in turn 6. He's only 8 or 10 car lengths behind, so he's hanging in there on the Gavin. And you know, both Corvettes are very much in the battle. Jan Magnussen does lead, and leads by about a second over Brian Sellers in the number 17 Falcon Tires car.
Gavin has had an immense amount of success in this series on so many different levels, as the record for fast laps, and he has got a lot of wins here. Really enjoys this track. He and Tommy Milner have proven to be a very effective driver pairing. Won it last year, won it on their way to winning the championship, and this team, it's not a team prone to panic, that's for sure, with any issue that they might have. And that, you know, bit of contact when they stopped, I'm sure they got the feedback from Ollie, and he said, no, we're okay. And everything is proceeding apace, and it's longer than the normal race, so you just continue to stick with the program, as they say.
Indeed, and Oliver Gavin, along I think with Olivier Beretta and Patrick Long, all have 4 GT victories to their credit here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, so each of them trying to break that little tie. But here is this battle. It's pretty much nose to tail now, isn't it, in GT, going around the infield section through turn 4 now. And that gap for Jan Magnussen is not very much at all. Alternately pretty much identical lap times at this stage as well, of course.
Obviously for the 93 Viper, back in the garage essentially and done, not good. But there is good news. Dominic Farnbacher now running laps that are as quick or quicker than other cars in the GT category. So in qualifying in that just absolute pure outright pace department, they had talked about it, not quite able to get that car to turn the way they wanted. But in race trim, certainly right now, looks to be quite strong, actually.
It does, actually. I'm just looking down the order here, and on lap times, Dominic Farnbacher actually has the fastest lap in GT at the moment, 124.163. Last time around, Jan Magnussen turned his best lap of the race so far, 124.4, and everybody else doing 1:24.56 or 7, so it's very, very close in there.
Oh.
Actually, 1:24.2 for Dirk Müller in number 56 BMW.
Oh, this is so fun! Unbelievable. The GT cars racing amongst themselves, looking for a pass, and the Rebellion Toyota and the Muscle Milk HBD ARX both almost driven into the pit wall as they went scything by. Unbelievable.
Weaving their way through, really, from one side of the track to the other, and then back again to the inside to get the line into turn 2. Wow, that was really fraught going down to the Andretti hairpin. Dominic Farnbacher, we're on board here with Ollie Gavin, and Dominic Farnbacher, he's got a fast car now. He's looking for a way around that Dirk Müller BMW. There is Nick Heidfeld escaping up the road finally with about 3 or 4 seconds of clear track. He'd be grateful for that after that fraught run down the front straightaway.
Yeah, and Klaus Graf, when they got in there, Klaus said he came through as well, and it's clear he does not want to let this guy get any kind of a break, and they both took some big risks in that GT pack.
Yes, they did indeed.
Oh, he's going to get balked here. Nice job by that. The number 8 car just left that door open a little bit. That's what you like to see. The guys knowing, okay, that car's coming through. If I turn to the apex, it's going to be a wreck. Just open the wheel up a little bit. Slow it down, let him get through. You know, better to lose a spot in class than it is to wreck. And these guys doing a nice job. And look at this, Klaus Graf. He's going to go by them both as well. This is great stuff. Klaus knows that he just doesn't want to let that Rebellion timepiece Lola Toyota get it too far out. Magnussen, however, he's just throwing down some brilliant laps right now, Jeremy.
Yes, indeed. It's so close amongst that whole group. And you're right about the number 8 car. That's Chris Cumming who's driving that car at the moment. I think he had a penalty a little while ago for infraction on pit lane. So he's a little ways back in 6th place in PC, but he's sharing that Epic, the movie car, with Tommy Dreesy. And, you know, they've still got some fight in those guys. There might be a lap down to the leaders in PC. There's still Duncan Endy, who leads for RSR Racing, but not by very much over Michael Gouache in car number 52 for PR1 Matheson. Lead the championship as a result of the victory at Sebring and a 2nd place finish at Long Beach.
Yeah, it's actually a superb battle in the LMP Challenge by Continental. Endy just by a second over Gouache. Then it's fairly close as well. I think back to John Bennett. Traffic playing a little bit of a role there. Then Charlie Shears. So that's a good, strong run. And again, John Bennett, not the race he wanted at Sebring, but he showed some remarkable pace at Long Beach.
Yeah, indeed. And John Bennett, he had a super job at Long Beach in the car that was qualified on the pole here by Colin Brown. That number 05 Core Autosport PC car running there in 3rd place in the class, ahead of Charlie Shears in number 18 and number 7 of Tommy Dreesy. It's number 7 of Tommy Dreesy. The number 8, of course, Chris Cunning shares with Kyle Marcelli. So my apologies there. The Bar 1 Motorsports cars running in 5th and 6th in the class.
Boy, the top 8 in GT right here. The Team West AJR Ferrari has dropped off just a little bit. Justin Bell explained that as it gets warmer, those Yokohamas just not quite as effective. When it gets cool again, they're going to come right back to life. And so that car should be something to watch later in the going. But Matteo Magliucelli, after all of that stuff now, is just running some strong laps, and he sits 8th in this train of GT machinery. This is why this class is right now considered to be probably one of the best on the planet. And just some exceptional racing with some exceptional talent, not just behind the wheel, but on the pit boxes and in those garages. It is phenomenal.
Yes.
And watching Pat Long as he's working his way up to the front. It's been a charge, that's for sure.
Well, this is a very new program. The team did receive the car just before the first race of the season at Sebring, and Patrick Long said he has been nothing but impressed with the team since that time. Their engineer, Gary Davies, has stuck to his plans and his philosophies. He made Patrick a believer overnight. He's worked with Porsches over the years. He's been on Michelin tires over the years. He said this car came out of the box strong, and there will be lots of good things coming from the team. Clearly, the team has found something that they like here this weekend, but it is still very early in their development program.
Yeah, it has been impressive, and of course they're still fielding an LMP Challenge by Continental car, which was on pole in the hands of Colin Brown, running 3rd right now in the hands of John Bennett, the 05 machine. But nice job here by Pat Long, as you would expect. America's only Porsche factory driver, and doing a nice job. Speaking of PC, we've got a new leader. That is Mike Gouache, has gone around Duncan Endy and picked up the point. And he is having himself a very strong race. In fact, a very strong season, Jeremy.
He certainly is. He's 55 years old, is Michael Gouache. But you wouldn't know. He drives like a youngster. He's from...
Ooh, that's how it happened. Oh, man. Right there, Duncan Endy just got caught a little bit behind that Tully's Coffee Dempsey Del Piero GTC car, and Gouache pounced.
Yeah, from Pleasant Hill, California, not too far from here, another local guy. A lot of laps around Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, particularly in Star Mazda, Pro Mazda cars over the years. Did a lot of open wheel racing, but he's really doing a nice job this season. Luis Diaz joined that organization for the race at Long Beach. They finished 2nd there, but look at this in GT.
That's just immense. The BMW trying to go around the outside of Oberlin, got driven a little bit wide, loses a spot to the team car, and look at Dominic Farnbacher. He got a run he wants through, not going to be able to make it work, but that was some absolutely fraught stuff. And again, that number 81 LMP Challenge car, contact down to the inside, just a light little bump, but it was enough. However, look at that. Gavin says, no, I got the inside into 3. I'm going to stay with it here. Now, does he do it? Because we saw Magliucelli looking very, very strong coming into 3. Nope, not able to make the run right now, but boy, just some furious action here. And just like that, Dirk Mueller up into 3rd. Big lockup by Oberlin down into turn 5. And joining it up here is Magliucelli. Look at this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars in the battle for GT. And there's two more that are not too far behind as well, only a couple or 3 seconds behind as well. Bryce Miller's just got past Townsend Bell. They're still knocking on the door as well. Just a fantastic effort here. And for Malicelli, yeah, how he's on the lead lap again, I really don't know. But he's done a good job to do that. He's right there in that mix of cars.
Here we go again as these guys in the GT class working through now some GTC traffic. Early leader in that class, Enrique Cisneros. And he's just trying to hit the disappear button and let these guys side through. And look at that, Pat Long thought about it for a moment, almost got the nose down underneath Oliver Gavin, but was not quite able to get that pass done. But great to see. Boy, I'll tell you, what an impressive debut for this program. And let's see. Boy, after all of those exchanges, the only major move there was Mueller getting around Arberlin. Oh, looks like just for a second I thought I was going to see Farnbacher try and drive up the inside into turn 3. However, nope, not going to happen at this point. So that's where we sit right now. As we are watching this, this is just absolutely fraught, wonderful racing action in the GT class right now as we are just a little over an hour into this 4-hour race here at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, the 3rd round of the championship. Early in the days. Now, earlier this weekend, we had a couple of rounds of the IMSA Yokohama GT3 Cup Series, and we want to take a look and show you what unfolded in the round yesterday. 17-year-old Fina Madison Snow put his Porsche on pole, and that was the place to be. He led into the Andretti hairpin behind him. It got busy early. Sloan Uri lost it, slammed into Miles Maroney, and collected point leader Angel Benitez. As a result, Uri would have a penalty. Now, a little bit later on, Colin Thompson was slow up the hill with this moment, and both Ashley Freiberg and Michael Mills, the teammates, got by. Then Mills got it wrong, and coming right back by him was Thompson. But Thompson, right there in the corkscrew, threw up that grate right into the radiator for Michael Mills, ending his day. And he had to park it. Madison Snow went on to claim an impressive win. He was the 15-year-old winner of the Gold Cup Championship 2 years later, having a strong run in the Platinum class. And we're going to show you now the results of this first round. It was Madison Snow over Ashley Freiberg and Colin Thompson. The Gold Cup winner was Mike Levitas. Here are the results in round 2, which happened a little bit earlier today.
Prototype cars next to GT cars.
30, 35 cars, all different speeds.
We are racing. Colin Brown back to the lead. It's now another for Lucas Law, and it's now. The white flag is flying.
Nice job, buddy. Awesome job.
This is the American Le Mans Series.
Here's another great thing about our Dueler tires, a comfortable, quiet ride.
Whose idea was this?
Corporate.
At Bridgestone, our passion for performance knows no bounds.
You did it. You solved Corman's enigma. How did you do it, Professor?
Professor? No, I'm not a professor. I'm just here to see my daughter. She's a dance major. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
There's so much to love about Bridgestone's Dueler tires. The amazing traction, the quiet, comfortable ride, and they're really tough. It's like loving 3 tires in one.
Welcome back. It is round 3 of the American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron, the American Le Mans Series, Monterey, from the beautiful Monterey Peninsula, Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. one of the more scenic venues you could ever imagine, and we have ourselves a phenomenal race unfolding in all of the categories, but certainly in GT. But with some traffic here, we have seen Jan Magnussen able to stretch things out just a little bit. Here is one of the Extreme Speed Motorsports entries, the 01 machine of Guy Cosmo, and they had some issues early, Jeremy. A cut tire, presumably some of the debris on the track created some issues, and now it is starting to really try and find its way back, Jamie.
It was another unscheduled pit stop, absolutely. It was the same right rear tire that was cut down. The team, though, when they came in for this pit stop, they took some extra time. They got underneath the car just to see if there was anything under the bodywork that was causing these right rears to go down. It didn't look like they found anything. Right now, the Michelin engineer is with the team, looking over the tire just to see what they can find, but these unscheduled pit stops will certainly hurt them today.
Boy, almost identical looking to what we had seen before.
Yeah, they're very unusual there. So yeah, maybe there's something rubbing on there. This team is still getting to know these cars. They've only been running them. They took delivery of this car just days before Sebring, so they haven't really had time to do any testing either between Sebring and Long Beach or between Long Beach and here. So there's still an awful lot to learn about these cars for this team.
One thing, this team running the Michelin tires and having called racing for quite a while in terms of the world of sports car racing, where Michelin has really made themselves a home. You see those tires, they're flat. They've torn apart on one side. Ooh, and somebody's gotten into the tires right at the apex there of the corkscrew. Yellow flags waving, and you can also see that yellow and orange stripe flag. That's a surface change flag for the tires, but as well as for the sand on the track. And now that has prompted the number 55 to duck into the pits. I wonder if that may have been the car that clipped it, although it looks as though they're just doing tires right now. I don't see any sign of issue on that car. Jamie?
I don't see any sign of damage on the car, but they are putting on 4 new Michelin tires. Bill Oberlin's staying in the car, and they are bringing out a new bumper. So I just can't see the damage because it's at the rear of the car. So the team are going through their paces right now to repair some of this. As I said, Bill will stay in the car, so they'll do this quickly. This is a new car for the team this year, but they did go over to Germany, and they know how to put the car together. They've put it together, they've taken it apart, and they've done it all over again. So this should be a fairly quick fix for BMW.
But certainly a costly fix as well, Jamie, because I think that car is going to drop off the lead lap. And as competitive as GT is, it's awfully difficult to make up a lap during the race.
They radioed and told Bill that just be prepared because we're likely going to lose a lap. But now it's a little longer than I think they were anticipating. Now the car down off the jacks, and Bill is going to be able to get out. And hopefully it will be just the one lap, but you can see he's frustrated.
Yeah, he is. We don't know how that was caused. But meanwhile, Jan Magnussen, he's pulled out a little bit of a margin, a couple of 3 seconds over Brian Sellers in second place in GT. Then Dirk Mueller in the other BMW still running third. Dominic Farbacher in that SRT Viper up into 4th place, ahead still of Oliver Gammon.
Yeah, I wonder, Bill, as he turned into the corkscrew, if he hooked it with the rear end, or maybe it was, oh, look at that. Lots of action going on there. Oh, and Pat Long forced off as well in that 27 GT Challenge Dempsey Del Piero entry. Had the moment. Let's see. Does he clip off? No issue there for Oberlin, but boy, there was a bump there. That's why Long went off. He and the Rebellion Toyota had a pretty good side-to-side clout. Lucky both of them continued. So I wonder maybe if Oberlin, as he turned in, as I was saying, into the corkscrew, maybe not. We're going to take a look now. Our great camera crew and tape department going to show us what happened. It's one of the challenge cars. Ooh, all right, well, that'll do it.
Yeah, that was number 7, Tommy Dreesy, at the wheel of what was, I think, the 4th place car in PC. And Duncan Ender, who was leading that class earlier on, he's shown now is on pit lane in car number 9.
And the Rebellion car, boy, it's had some close calls here and just continues to run. But here is, now on board with Pat Long. Ooh, looks like he maybe, he did. Matteo Malucelli getting into the back of him, and that could very well prompt another visit and long park in pit lane for this quick young Italian driver. He had a great win at Spa in the GTE Pro category, I believe, but boy, struggling here.
Yeah, well, he's been fast, certainly, and remarkably fast given his first visit here, but it's certainly been a very eventful beginning. The first hour and 15 minutes of this race. There is the number 9 car coming out of the pit lane. Bruno Junqueira now at the wheel of that car. So they're more than an hour and 10 minutes into the race. So they have completed the minimum driving requirement for Duncan Ender. And now Bruno Junqueira, who's lightning fast, loves this racetrack, had a couple of poles here in Champ Car. He was on the pole in PC last year and trying now to get the first victory of the season for RSR Racing. They were very, very strong at Long Beach 3 weeks ago. Unfortunately, during a round of pit stops, when Bruno tried to rejoin, he was boxed in behind a GTC car. Cost him a lot of time. They had to pull that car back. By the time he got going again, he'd fall to 5th place in the class, but the car is fast. GTC, one of the TRG cars off the road at turn 2. And while that car is getting back underway again, Bruno Junqueira also is telling me that number 9 RSR car is very fast, but it doesn't look after its tyres very well, and that's what they've been working on this weekend, trying to build more consistency into the pace of that car. It's good in short runs and at the beginning of stints, but as the stint goes along, it tends to lose pace, and that's what they've been trying to dial out of that car. There's our GT leader.
Boy, looking strong. Magnussen just really doing a brilliant job, not just in terms of speed in the car, but working traffic right now. He's able to open up that gap, and it hasn't gone away when they've come up on other cars. He's timed things beautifully. Brian Sellers in the that blue and teal Falcon Tire Porsche still sits 2nd, and then sitting in 3rd, the white number 56 Crown Royal BMW, Crown Plaza BMW, excuse me, sitting in that 3rd spot, the Dominic Farnbacher in the number 91 Fast and Furious 6 Viper, and then Gavin in the number 4 Corvette, and then the 62 of Magliucelli in that Racing Competizione Ferrari. And I would think the team might just be kind of waiting for a potential inevitable call here from race control. Awfully strong driving in this GT category right now. Boy, you see Magnussen now way up the road, turning into the Andretti hairpin.
Yeah, way up the road. It's certainly in GT terms, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
All of a couple of seconds or so.
And one of our LMP2 cars is in. Jamie?
Ryan Briscoe will stay in the car. It looks like it will be fuel. They do have 4 new tires out. But I think one thing interesting to note is it doesn't look like, well, I guess they are sticker tires. It's hard to tell if they've been scrubbed or not, but it looks like they will be taking tires. Fuel almost complete right now. Car up on the jacks. Scott Tucker will be getting in this car at the end of this race. It looks like they are scrubbed, but very, very lightly. That will help them come up to temperature a lot faster. That's one thing that the teams have been struggling with this weekend is getting the tires up to temperature. So strategy being played out here at Level 5 Motorsports, and Ryan Briscoe is back out.
And it's crucial, we've talked about it before, Jeremy, but that the temperature in the tire doesn't just affect the grip of the rubber itself, it also affects the pressures inside the tire. And if those are wrong, it can really drastically upset the handling of the car. There's an awful lot in getting those tires up to town.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We did talk about it earlier on. This is a relatively low grip racetrack, Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, certainly compared to some of the other tracks we race on in this series during the season. So it is more difficult here to bring the tires up to optimum working temperatures and pressures. We often see 2 or 3 laps it takes to get the car really up to optimum speed.
Well, and there's the number 93 car that had gone behind the wall for a very long time, and Kuno Whitmer has brought it back out, but as you can see, a plume of smoke from the back of that car. Not exactly sure if it's tire rub or something mechanical in the engine or whatever, but they are struggling.
Hopefully he's going to try and keep it off the racing line.
Justin, now he may have to pull outside of the track, Justin.
Yeah, obviously, I don't know what the issue is right now, but I know what the issue was to go in, and that was caused by losing a second gear, so they were going to change the cluster and come out, and obviously the objective right now for this team is to work on their Le Mans preparation. It's a huge effort and strategy for them to go this year, and every lap they do here they will learn from. So I guess with that little fire coming out the back right now, guys, they have another problem on their hands.
Yeah, they've pulled off now and up at the exit of turn 6, and he has just pulled it off to the left side of the track and has stopped it. I'm not sure he's aware of that little bit of flame licking at the back of the car.
So you can't see any smoke at the moment, but there did seem to be something flickering away underneath the back end of that Viper.
I'm sure the crew radiated him, the number 16, which has had an awfully frustrating day as well.
Yeah, it's been
at least
in and out a couple of times. At least he left with some alacrity that time away from the pit box. Still, Guy Smith at the wheel of the number 16 Dyson Racing Lola Mazda. A long, long way down, and at this stage all he's trying to do is complete 70% of the race distance. That will at least enable him to score points in the P1 category. There was problems also earlier on for the number 0 car, the Delta Wing. Catherine Legg taking the first into that car. They, however, did get back in the fray, and currently they've completed 36 laps, so 16 laps down to the race leader, but still 20 laps ahead of that Dyson Racing Lola Mazda.
Still the Rebellion Toyota leading overall with the Muscle Milk Pickett Racing entry, sitting in second. Johannes van Overbeek in the 02 ESM Extreme Speed Motorsports. Tequila Patron Honda ARX sits in the P2 lead, third overall, followed by the 2 level 5 entries. Mike Gouache leading in LMP Challenge, sitting in the 6th overall spot. The number 52 Molecule PR1 Matheson Motorsports entry. Leading in GT is the guy that's just barely visible up there. And look at this. This is Dirk Mueller, and he all over the back of Brian Sellers heading into turn 11. And now out and onto the front pit straight here. And Dirk Mueller, that BMW seems to be working exceptionally well right now. And Brian Sellers is doing everything he can to keep him behind it. One of the reasons that Mueller is well motivated is because Dom Farnbacher is heaping the pressure on, because he's got pressure from Ollie Gavin, GT Racing.
Yeah, that's right. This is great stuff, isn't it? Second, third, and fourth, absolutely nose to tail here. Brian Sellers just holding off the BMW, but on board that Viper, boy, and they transformed that Viper. I was talking to Dominic, like I said earlier on, and Dominic Farnbacher and Jonathan Bomarito, who was born and raised right here in Monterey, just literally within a stone's throw of the racetrack. And they were saying that they just couldn't get the car into the corner, but they made some changes, and clearly that car is working a lot better in race configuration than it was earlier in the weekend in qualifying trim.
On this onboard shot, we just saw a big chunk of debris at the exit of 4 and the run up to 5 off to the right. Not on the racing line, but not exactly well clear of the track either. And here these guys go now. That is that the team Tully's Coffee Dempsey Del Piero entry. 2 cars running here, the 27 and the number 10. On board now with Ollie Gavin, and you can see that rearward camera that is really reacting as a mirror, a rear view mirror for that car. But they also have incorporated into that a pretty remarkable program that does a little sensing.
Yeah, that's right. There's a radar system. Oops, who's that? Is that Malucelli? I think it is. I think that might be the front end of a Ferrari, and an all-red Ferrari. Yeah. Malucelli. Has he made contact with the class leader?
Oh, look at the water, gravel pouring out. I thought it was water for a minute. That's just like gravel.
That's Michael Gouache in number 52.
Full course caution. I believe the 3rd one, Jeremy.
Yes, indeed. Lap 54. 1 hour and 20 minutes into the race.
Right, and I think we're going to take a look at what transpired. Well, first, there's the official indication. Double yellows fly. Here we go. Down there. On this one, wasn't Mateo's fault. No, he got helped off rather substantially by Gouache. Mateo wasn't exactly on the racing line when he went in. He was awfully wide. But still, he got collected.
It did look like Michael Gouache was even deeper on the brakes.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't see the beginning of it. Maybe it was something before that we know not. It could be that Gouache was off the road at the previous corner. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all conjecture. But the end result is that the number 62 car is stuck in the gravel. This time it is going to lose a lap. No doubt about that. And the number 52 car, I'm not sure whether it was able to regain. I think he was still able to hang on to the lead in PC.
Wow.
And this is certainly going to help Bruno Junqueira, because we saw the different strategies played out. The top 3 cars in PC, number 52 there is, wow, look at that. Bruno Junqueira's right ahead of him. So I think the 52 is still leading in PC. If it is, then number 05 of Jonathan Bennett is in second place. Number 18 of Charlie Shears in third place. Fourth place in the class is shown as that number 9 car, Bruno Junqueira, right ahead on the road there of Michael Gouache. So when the safety car picks up the field, the Mazda safety car picks up the field, there will be the general wave pass that we heard earlier on,
right?
And that will enable Bruno Junqueira to trail all the way around and rejoin at the back of the pack. And then when these other top contenders in PC come onto pit lane, that will cycle Bruno Junqueira through into the lead in PC. So that strategic call by the RSR team about 10 minutes ago to bring Duncan Ender in as soon as Duncan Ender has completed his 1 hour and 10-minute minimum driving time looks like it being a very, very good call.
I think it was indeed. And I'll tell you, this is going to be interesting here because Gouache got away with one when they had to contact this car because it was spun essentially sideways, augured into the gravel and parked. Gouache skipped across it, got to that far out end, was able to continue. But if that was deemed contact, that it sent another car off track. They've been pretty solid about issuing some penalties. So Gouache in the end may not get away with it. There's some debris that has been gathered around the track in various spots as well. So we are under a caution at 2 hours 35 minutes remaining in this race. There is the pace car with the Rebellion timepiece, Lola Toyota in tow. Boy, that is just a spectacular shot heading up into the corkscrew area, the highest point of this track. And you can see it is, if you've never been here, you need to come. It's one spectacular venue. Looking to see, we're certainly, pits are not yet open. We would expect to see some takers to be sure, but that's part of the deal. Until they get the field reined in and everything under control, the pits do not open. And the idea there is you get somebody who just happens to be at the right spot at the right time, peels in and gains a huge advantage. So the folks in race control have come up with a plan to ensure that when the stops happen, they happen in a fair manner. On board with Cooper McNeil, at number 22 WeatherTech Porsche, and the GTT Challenge leader right now, Enrique Cisneros, who led much of the race in the early going, and the number 30 Momo NGT entry is second. Third, after an off and all, the number 66 of Ben Keating is there. Here we are on board with Enrique. And the number 4 is in. We got a report the pits are closed. We got to repit it. Oh, it is emergency service, and if you have some major issue, you then may come in, but have to see what it is they're working on down in there. If it was pitched as emergency service, I guess we'll see if it truly was. If it was judged not to be, there could be a penalty involved here, but see what they're doing.
Yeah, if the team needs to make a pit, so it's about to run out of fuel, they're allowed to come in and put in enough fuel. Let's go down to Jamie Howe.
It is a gearbox issue on the number 4. Oliver Gavin still in the car. The team hard at work. I'm not sure if this is considered emergency service or not. We're going to have to check with IMSA on that one, but the team is working on it. They said they didn't have any other choice. They had to come in and address the issue.
I think it'd be a nice try by the team, but the rules I think are pretty clear on that. You're allowed to put in a splash of fuel to enable it to go around and get back in enough fuel so it can make it run until when the pits are open, but anything more than that you're not allowed to do, and this is certainly a good bit more than that. So even if and when they can get this car back underway and when we go back to green, there will be, I think for sure, another penalty served on Corvette Racing car number 4. Bad news for their championship aspirations.
One of the issues, I wonder if it was that they had a fear of it locking up and parking the car. Maybe they wanted to get in and take the penalty. Okay, we're getting an update from race control. They considering it being that this would technically not be emergency service, but they're in the pits for such a long period of time. They're going to get talking about it here right now. Let's put it that way. It's under discussion by race control. I think it's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're clearly not gaining any kind of an advantage right now, and they're going to be, I think they've just gone one lap down to the field. I think we heard the leaders go, the perhaps cars go past the pit lane. So, you know, they're losing time. It's probably going to be pretty much a moot point. But all the other teams are going to be saying, hey, emergency service, this is not. You know, it's clearly a major problem for Corvette Racing, and that is exactly what they don't need. They were leading the championship, joint leaders of the championship, Oliver Gavin and Tommy Milner, with Bill Aublin and Maxime Martin. Each of those cars, those teams, had a win and a fourth place finish to its credit coming in here to the third round of the series. Now the advantage very much in favor of the BMW guys. It's Jan Magnussen, the other Corvette, that leads still. Brian Sellers in second place in the number 17 Falcon Tires Porsche. And then the number 56 BMW of Dirk Mueller and John Edwards. Of course, the 55 car of Bill Aublin and Maxime Martin, they had a problem earlier on as well. So they are actually a couple of laps down, I think, at least one lap down to the remainder of the field in GT. So both of the joint championship leaders coming into this weekend having difficulties in the early laps.
And as you see here, the IMSA safety crew's out directing drivers and teams around and away as they have the cleaners out that are going to go out and get some of this dust and debris and clag blown off of the track in various areas. So while we're under this caution, I guess they're going to take a little bit of time and they are going to clean the track up. We're going to step away for just a minute, but first we're going to take you back to 2002 in a pretty amazing moment that unfolded. And Johnny O'Connell, you're with us here at the moment, and that's your Corvette.
That was right after a driver change, and I got in full tanks, and man, that thing erupted. You have no idea how hot that car got there. And I love this guy. I'm trying to save my car from like 10 yards away, so I grabbed the thing out of him. This is what a man does. Man gets in the fire, tries to put the fire out, and then runs out of extinguisher, and you just watch this. It was a bad moment.
Ooh, a scary moment, and Johnny's eyebrows have never been the same.
Now relax. Let the chi flow from the inner Zhang Fu organs outwards as the needles open your meridians.
Oh, it feels so good. I really thought the needles would hurt.
So did I. I hate needles.
That must make it hard to do what you do.
Oh, not really. I deliver paninis. He's the acupuncturist. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh.
Stay smart. Stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
July 5th and 6th, the American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron, will head back to the East Coast to race around the beautiful and challenging Lime Rock Park.
And it's great.
Witness the exciting action as all 5 classes fight to not only win, but just survive this 1.5-mile bullring circuit.
KG last lap.
Be a part of the action and stream the race live on ESPN 3 or tune in to the live broadcast on ESPN 2.
Welcome back, everybody, and there are some of the hardest working crews in the business from the tire manufacturers. These Michelin guys work awfully hard. You can't imagine the number of wheels they have to have tires mounted on, and it's pretty furious at that. And they've also got some pretty trick technology in those tires as well.
Racing is full of secrets, whether it's chassis dynamics, engine development, or tire technology. And here at Co-Autosport this weekend, a somewhat unique situation exists. They're running 3 different cars in 3 different categories on 3 different tire manufacturers. And for Michelin, that poses somewhat of a dilemma because they go to great lengths to to protect the intellectual property of each of their tires. Just think of the journey this tire's undergone. It started hand-built in France, shipped securely here to the track in California, mounted in the Michelin tent, and then handed over to the core engineers for safekeeping until it gets mounted onto the car over there in the pit lane. Afterwards, it goes back into the hands of Michelin. Why do all that? Well, with over 15 years of intense development and investment here in the American Le Mans Series, they don't want to just hand those secrets over to just anybody. It sounds like super spy stuff. It really actually is.
It is, and there you see we've had our 2 overall race leaders make their stop, the Rebellion Toyota, and there is the number 6, Jamie.
And it was a longer than normal pit stop for Muscle Milk Pickett Racing. They did do a driver change, fuel and tires, so Lucas Moore's now in the car, but Rebellion Racing beat them off of pit road by a substantial amount of time. So a little bit slower than normal there, but all clean on pit road.
All right, thanks, Jamie. We continue under full course caution here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. And at this point, we thought maybe we'd show you a little bit of what's unfolded thus far. Problems early for the Extreme Speed Motorsports LMP2 program. 2, count them 2, problems with that right rear tire. Trying to suss that problem out, Jeremy. The Dyson car is struggling as well.
That's been in and out of the pits several times. It's back in the pits now. Another lengthy stop for Dyson Racing. Once again, a disastrous beginning to the season. 2 DNFs already and not looking good today either. And
an LMP challenge by Continental. As always, some pretty remarkable racing unfolding. This battle right here, Mike Gouache, the number 52, taking advantage of that number 9 white machine, just getting balked a little bit by the GT Challenge car and moved on. However, this moment, as Gouache getting into the back of the number 62 Risi Competizione Ferrari, the Ferrari parked in the gravel, Gouache able to snake through, and it is that car sitting in the gravel which prompted this 3rd caution. And while that was unfolding, pits are closed until the field is reined in. This car came in, they said we had to, problem apparently with the gearbox, whether it was emergency or just a situation where they wanted to get in and get to work on it, being discussed by Corvette, has been in the pits for a long time. Pretty serious problem at the back of that car at this point. So that's sort of some of the developments as we sit here right now at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. There is the Rebellion machine as it has completed its stop, and only a car length back, as it turns out, I think, is our Muscle Milk Pickett Racing car, 2nd class. To finish up on that Michelin tire deal, how extreme as we watch now one of the top cars that's been right in the hunt, led or 2nd in GT from the beginning, is that Falcon Tire Porsche that has just completed its stop. But we were talking, Justin was talking about the proprietary information and the like. Michelin, the engineers will even go out on the track at the end of the day, pick up pieces of clag and the like to be able to take it in and use that to help with the analysis on these tires, particularly if there's an incident that was a cut tire like we've seen. They will take everything that's left of that tire and analyze it thoroughly. Make sure anybody else cut from a rival tire manufacturer can't analyze the rubber either. All of the GT leaders then on pit lane. We saw that Jan Magnussen in the number 3 Corvette able to beat out Brian Sellers in the Falcon Tire Porsche. We saw the Falcon Tire Porsche. I think everybody changed tires as well. So we'll have to wait and see until they cycle around to exactly what the order is. Meanwhile, in the prototype ranks, we saw the 2 leaders both on pit lane. Also, a couple of P2 cars, the number 02 and the 551 came onto pit lane. And in PC, all of the top 4 came in. 52 that was leading, 05, the 18, and the number 9, Bruno Junqueira. He got the wave around. He was able to rejoin the tail end of the lead lap. He too came in. Smart move again by RSR Racing, top it off with fuel, and then we'll wait and see until they come around next time exactly what the order is as we get ready for the restart. And this is interesting in the challenge classes where you've got the Pro-Am scenario, a full-time serious pro driver, and believe me, some very talented, keep in mind, very talented, but amateur drivers in the sense that they don't make their living at racing. In these early moments here now, as we are at the 2 hour and 22 to go mark, in these stops, the guys that started generally are the AM side of the program, the pros on board now, and this becomes some unbelievably furious racing. You're looking at GTC Nick Tandy now behind the wheel of the 30 Momo car. Damian Faulkner who has been wicked quick behind the wheel of the 66 Racers Group car. Bleekemolen behind the wheel of the pole sitting 22 car. It's game on. John Halen on board as well. Andy Lally, Andrew Davis. I mean, this is going to be exceptional stuff.
It is, but there's 5 cars on the lead lap currently in GTC. Nick Tandy in car number 30, Damien Fortner in car number 66, and I spoke to him a little while ago before the start of the race, and he said the TRG car just completely lost this weekend. They've just got no pace at all. Well, clearly they're running a bit better in the race.
Jamie?
Well, now we see the number 4 car come in. When they were in before, they could not do fuel and tires. They could only address the issue they had, which was the gearbox. So now this is normal service, fuel, tires, and driver change. So Oliver Gavin getting out. Tommy Milner now getting behind the wheel right before the Grand Prix of Long Beach, which was the last round of competition. There was imbalance of performance. Corvette was 33 pounds, 15 kilos of weight to the car. Tommy Milner said, I'm doing my part. He's lost 7 pounds since that weight was added. So all this is a team effort. That was a clean pit stop for those guys, but clearly they're way, way back today.
Yeah, and while Ollie was sitting there while they were working on that, you know, very calm. He's the consummate professional, but the eyes, when we went to this shot, kind of told the story. You could see it. They just changed from, you know, hopeful to a bit of dejection, knowing that they were in this ultra-competitive GT field. We're going down laps, and that hurts.
Yeah, 4 laps down to the leaders is the number 4 Corvette. Exactly what they didn't want, but all sorts of shuffling around in the other classes. In PC, Bruno Junqueira did get out ahead of Colin Brown and Luis Diaz and Tristan Nunez. So driver changes now amongst all of the top 4 cars in PC. The 9, 0, 5, 52, and number 18, driven respectively by Bruno Junqueira, Colin Brown, Luis Diaz, and Tristan Nunez.
All right, we're doing the wave by to get the first class leader. Doesn't have to be the overall LMP1 leader. It could be, it's the first leader in class. They want them eventually behind the pace car, and so they have waved by. You see 3 cars in front of the pace car were just waved through, and their job now is to get around this track as fast as they can, catch the back before we go to green, which we anticipate the next time by. And so I believe the car that is right behind the pace car now is Ryan Briscoe.
I think you're right, in car number 552.
So this is going to be interesting to see as we go back at 2 hours, call it 19.5 minutes left in this 4-hour round 3 of the American Le Mans Series. Good news, still a lot of blue in the sky, as it is now just what 5:10 here on the Pacific Coast, and it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds here as we get a little bit deeper into the evening. Let's get down to pit lane and check in with Justin.
Brian, it really was for me one of the standout drives of your career to lead a GT field as rich as it was out here. It was amazing, and yet you're just telling me your car was really at the top operating range for those tires, and yet you were still able to hold on to the lead or second place.
Yeah, I mean, Falcon Tire brought a good tire to this race, and it seemed to hold pretty strong, although, like you said, we were operating in our upper temperature curve, so we're hoping with the the track temp coming down that we'll be able to hold on a little bit longer. The Corvette was a little bit stronger than we were, so hopefully with the decreased temps we can have something for him later in the race.
And of course that amazing new BMW Z4, you could see that he was in your mirrors every corner and you were able to hold him off. But I mean, very fair, clean racing at the top end.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, unfortunately for me, he was faster on the second half of the track, which leads to the straightaway and then a passing opportunity. So he made it difficult for me. But like you said, he ran me clean. Probably could have taken a couple chances that would have maybe ended up in some contact, but it was a clean race.
Excellent job. We'll keep watching Wolf.
And the pace car is in. Ryan Briscoe leading the field around. Again, he is not the overall race leader, the class leader in LMP2, and green flag flies. We are back to racing at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, and Ryan Briscoe leads the field down past start finish over the rise, dropping down into the Andretti hairpin. And Ryan Briscoe happy to have a great ride. The third car in your frame is the overall leader, the Rebellion. Timepieces Lola Toyota down to the inside of that challenge car, and will be running down, I'm sure, that P2 car quickly. But keep in mind, the guy right there, Lucas Luhr, has the bit between his teeth. And we get a report now. Another problem at the right rear corner for the 01 Tequila Patron entry, Jamie.
This is the third time that we have seen Guy Cosmo bring the number 01 HPD entry from Extreme Speed in with a right rear tire issue. The team now has taken the rear bodywork off to take a look at that and see if there is something inside the car rubbing. It looks like they are hard at work. They may have found something here, but they have lost so much time. However, that's what the team expected. They expected to have issues this season. They knew they were going to have to do some work and really figure out these cars, get down to the nitty-gritty, because they want to run this car for a couple of years. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing them learn, we're seeing them develop, but they are losing precious time on pit road today.
It's a good point during the pre-race show when down in the grid doing pre-race when I talked to Scott Sharp, and we talked about that. It's such a late decision, and he said, we're looking ahead. That's the whole deal, is we are just trying to get this program put together here. So, and guess what? Fine, it's been a while in coming, but there is going to be a stop and hold for 60 seconds to the number 62 Racing Competizione Ferrari. Matteo Malucelli was driving at the time for that contact with the 06 car long time ago. Now, he, of course, got tinked as well and got sent into the gravel trap, but they have gone back, reviewed that, decided that was worthy of a penalty, Jeremy.
Yeah, we didn't see the full extent of the video of that, but they obviously did up in race control because they made that call. We haven't heard yet whether there's been any decision about the incident later on between number 52 and number 62. So we'll have to wait. Maybe there's some more activity going on there in race control. But meanwhile, you can see the battle for the lead as they come down through turn 9. The left-handed and right-handed at turn 10 down to the final corner. Neil Jarney now at the wheel of the number 12 car, having taken over from Nick Heidfeld, and Lucas Luhr at the wheel of car number 6.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Lucas can stay with that car, and it looks like Johnny pretty quick in GT right now. There is Jan Magnussen, who continues to lead in the category. It's Wolf Hensler in that Falcon Tire Porsche, but look right behind him at number 91 Viper. And you talked about it, boy. Whatever they found on that Viper has been effective, because that car is looking very, very quick.
And again, very interesting here to look at the different strategies. Jan Magnussen, they have not changed drivers in the number 3 Corvette. They did change drivers in the second placed number 17 Falcon Tires Porsche. They did not change drivers in the third place 91 Viper. They did change drivers in number 56 BMW. John Edwards taking over the wheel of that car. Bryce Miller in 48 car also did not change drivers.
All right, and here's what caused this impending stop in 60 for the 62. That's the core Porsche. Pow! And right there, it got helped around by Matteo Malucelli. They had 3 penalties already because of various violations. 2 of them, I think, pit speed violations that they had to come in. And now the poor guy who gets to serve the penalty is Beretta.
Yeah, that's sod's law for you, isn't it? Malucelli's been hitting everything except the guardrails, it seems, in the stages of this race. But yeah, the penalty there, and that will cost them at least 1 lap to the leaders. I'm sure it will this time in GT, possibly even 2 laps. No, I think he's coming down the hill there, just 1 lap down. But a costly penalty there, and I think that video was pretty conclusive. The rear end of that Porsche came around pretty smartly, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's not going to do that on its own without some assistance.
Absolutely. You were talking about, well, here he comes making that stop. And again, it's Olivier Beretta, who just recently got in the car. But it's a team, and so he has to fall on the sword and serve this penalty for the team. And this one's tough. He has to stop, and then they're going to hold him for a minute.
Yeah, and they had a penalty also, I think, in Long Beach too, didn't they, these guys? And the number 18 car in PC, similar experience there. It was Charlie Shears that had the contact. He was called for the penalty, but it was Tristan Nunez who had to serve the penalty because they made the driver change in between the time of the incident and the penalty being called.
Boy, and that, you just sit there, you're just fuming, seething. That seems like forever as you're sitting there with one of those holds. And there now, Tom Kimber-Smith behind the wheel has taken the helm of the 06 Core Sport Composite Resources GT Porsche, and had a nice visit with him the other day, and he said, I am over the moon about this. He said, I've been driving a lot of prototypes, still does on occasion, obviously. He said, but this is a program, he said, I think has a real future with this team. He said, people know this team from the LMP Challenge category. He said, but you know, the minute you start at the shop, you start talking to the team, you start working with them. He said, this is going to be a program with a tremendous future. And he said, you know, he had driven with this team in the LMP Challenge category, and he made the comment. He goes, you know, I'd love to work with you guys a little bit more if anything happens. And the call came, and they said, but guess what? It's not a prototype. You interested? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got a long history now with Porsche, as Patrick Long joined them in 2003. He was racing open-wheel cars at the time. He'd been invited to the Red Bull Formula 1 driver search back then. But he didn't win the F1 driver search, but he did win got the notice of Porsche, and they took him under his wing. He raced in the German Carrera Cup Series in 2003 and then became a full-fledged factory driver in 2004. Has been so ever since. He's done a fine job for the factory. He's a great representative for that mark.
We were
Quick
chatting
note here, but also about Porsches. Nick Tandy, the latest Porsche factory driver, he is leading the class now in the Momo NGT Motorsports entry, car number 30, and he's just turned the best lap of the race, I think, in GTC. So Nick Tandy has got about a 7-second margin over Jerome Blakemolen in the number 22 car. So both of those teams, well, I think all of the teams have changed drivers in GTC.
Actually, on Tandy, he was one of the drivers that I interviewed during the pre-race show, and I asked him, I said, you know, people look at this GT Challenge class, and I said, but you, Bleekemolen, Faulkner, Halen, and he went, oh, that's why I wanted to race it, mate. You know, I said, that's what it's all about, and it makes it awfully good. What I wanted to talk about just quickly with the core team, chatting with Pat Long, and he was talking about the differences in personality, not skill, but personality between his longtime partner, Jorg Bergmeister, and Tom Kimber-Smith. And he said, Jorg is just pinging all the time. He said he's a treat, but he's pinging. He said Tom Kimber is just laid back, very relaxed, but wicked quick and laser focused. And he was talking about the great run that he and Jorg had as teammates. He goes, we went through it all. He said there were years, he said where we could do no wrong. He said there were years where Jorg struggled. There were years, and I love this phrase, years where I hit everything except the lottery. I thought it was a great description. And he said, but it's amazing talent. Oh, look at this. The 02 is in. Jamie.
Yes, Ed Brown has brought the car to pit lane, but they're looking at the same parts that they were looking at the 01. I'm not sure if he's doesn't look like he has a flat tire on that right rear, but I'm not sure what the team is discussing with Ed Brown right now, but I'll give you an update as soon as I know something.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. You know, and you wonder if they found something on the 01 car that could have created.
Keep your hands off it. Let them do the troubleshooting.
That could have created some issue, and decided to put this car in.
Let's get Ricky. Let's plug in umbilical.
And that, I believe, the umbilical, that they want to get the computer hooked up and start getting data.
Yeah, download all the data from the car so they can analyze that in the pit lane. So once again, pretty much an extended test session now for Extreme Speed Motorsports. That leaves level 5 racing in control. The 552 ahead of the 551. Ryan Briscoe at the wheel of the 552. Marino Franchitti driving the 551 cars and turning very similar lap times as one would expect.
By the way, we're seeing something here that I think has huge implications in this race. There is the yellow Corvette of Jan Magnussen leading in GT. The car in front of him on the same lap, but it's Bill Auberlen. I think now it's Martin, excuse me. And right now he is going to be driving with everything he's got. And still Auberlen actually behind the wheel to not go down a lap to these guys, and that's a long, tall order with the pace we've seen out of Jan Magnussen. And apparently with 02, it's a shifting issue.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Shifting problem there for the 02 Extreme Speed Motorsports, the HPD chassis, and yeah, this battle going on here, and you know, all of the GT cars seem to be incredibly closely matched in terms of pace. So I think Bill Auberlen should be okay there. He's out ahead of these two. So if and when there is another full course caution, he'll be able to carry on around and join the tail end of the lead pack. But he certainly isn't very comfortable running just a couple of seconds ahead of the leader in the class. This though is
going to be good
for PC.
Oh, Junqueira, that white number 9 Johnson Controls RSR entry. And Colin Brown, who was on pole in that Core Autosport machine right behind him, and right behind them is that's Luis Diaz, who took over for Mike Gouache, and you can see how hard Colin Brown is pushing, dropping that left tire.
And Tristan Nunez isn't far behind these three either. He's only about another couple of seconds back in car number 18. So battle very much rejoined here. We haven't heard anything about a potential penalty to number 52 car after that incident with the 62 earlier on.
Well, I wonder, we didn't see what happened leading in, and the Ferrari was way offline, so I don't know whether something happened there and there was nowhere for Gouache to go and just got into the back of him.
Yep, but Colin Brown, just a little bit of traffic problems there, but battle at the front of the field here. It's Neil Jarney at the wheel of the pole-sitting car, the car number 12 for Rebellion Racing, but Lucas Leonard is able to hang with the race leader, so we've got a battle for the lead there as they work their way around this track.
Yeah, and of course you get in traffic like this, and nice move there by Neil Jarney to get through and use that car. And look, exactly, you got to play this chess game so well. Make that move, use the car that you're passing to bottle up the guy who's chasing you and cost time. And of course the guy that's chasing you is trying to figure out how to use the car you're trying to get by as a pick. And look at that, you saw it opened up and then it closed again as Neil Jarney got trapped right behind, I believe, the number 91 Viper and Fireball. Now they're going to try.
Keep the pressure on. Keep the pressure on. Overtake it will.
Overtake it will. I think that was Brandon Fry, the technical director at Musselburgh Racing, on the radio there to Lucas Luhr. But it's still the number 12 car that leads, and Nick Heidfeld drove the opening stint of this race, celebrated yesterday his 36th birthday. He'd never raced here before at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Neil Jarney, however, has. He raced here in A1GP several years ago, so he does at least know the racetrack. But Nick Heidfeld's been fast, of course, as one would expect. A massive amount of experience in Formula 1, 138 starts, never won a race, but certainly was a contender in the Formula 1 ranks. He drove pretty successfully for the BMW Sauber team in particular, and a lot of success coming up through the ranks as well. So a very, very talented driver, as is Neil Jarney.
Boy, for Lucas Luhr, that kind of a radio call has got to be one that just brings a grin to a serious race driver. Keep the pressure on, go full, overtake at will. That's exactly what you want to hear. Don't dial back, save fuel, just go for it. And boy, right now this battle is looking exceptionally good between Junqueira, then Colin Brown, and right there Luis Diaz, third in class in that molecule. PR1 Matheson Motorsports entry. That's your top three in the LMP Challenge Bicontinental class. Yeah, and in the 52 car, then Luis Diaz, several times been recognized as the most popular driver in the American Le Mans Series. A lot of success, particularly with Fernandez Racing. He won in the P2 class here, both in 2011 and last year with Level 5 Motorsports. And in 2009, he was the fastest qualifier and set the fastest lap of the race. That was driving for Fernandez Racing. Yeah, Luis, just a great guy. And that was one of those, that number 45 Lizards car, that was one of those moments where it's like, I can't hit a disappear button. I got one here, one on the other side. What do you do? And he did the right thing, just stay in the middle. I mean, let them sort it out. But boy, that's what we were talking about, of playing that chess game in traffic. It is. And Colin Brown had a run coming down the hill there, but Bruno Junqueira held him off, kept his cool, kept his calm, kept the lead. And here he goes across the line one more time. It's 70 laps now in the books for the PEC leaders. 1, 2, 3. There they go into the Andretti hairpin. And Tristan Nunez in fourth place is only about another 2.5 seconds behind. So, yeah, hanging on there in there as well, just coming around the corner right now. I think it's pretty safe to say that the Core Autosport team has optimized that Oreca chassis, huh? Yes, wow. I think so. Won the championship the last 2 years, and there's not much about that car they don't know. And Gary Davies has been the lead engineer for this car over the last couple of years. Gary now is working on the 06 car, the Porsche, and as we heard Jamie talk about a little while ago, he's brought a breath of fresh air to the way that the Porsches are run, according to Patrick Long, who has a massive amount of experience in these cars. And the two Porsches that these guys have just been working their way by after they got by the Lizards car, third and fourth in the GT Challenge category, that bright, reflective gold car, the number 11 JDX entry of Jan Halen, and right in front of him is the 66 Racers Group entry of Damian Faulkner, the Port Lavaca Group car. So those guys, everything's coming at them in every conceivable direction right now as we hop on board with Dominic, or excuse me, is that still Dominic in the car? It is. Third in class in GT.
Yeah, second and first, just a few car lengths in front of him.
The problems continue for the 0-2. And it looks like they're rocking that car back and forth still. You can see the shake of the head, Jamie. Problems.
Yes, and Ed Brown is getting increasingly frustrated the longer they sit here in pit lane. It's a problem in the electronics. It's a similar issue that Johannes Van Overbeek had on the grid when he couldn't get it into gear. It's the same thing that Ed's having right now. They have swapped out the steering wheels and pushing to the team. He wants to get out of pit lane. He wants to go back behind the garage. It's been a frustrating weekend for him. His daughter Ella turned 7 this weekend. He missed her birthday, so he's not winning any Father of the Year awards here this weekend, and the frustration just continues as the team tries to troubleshoot.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, you have something like that happen. It's also Mother's Day weekend, and then on top of it, he's just had a tough go in the, you know, with the car. Had a couple of offs, obviously, and now this mechanical issue. Sometimes, you know, racing gives you lemons.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, when one thing goes wrong, the whole world seems to be against you. There's Kyle Marcelli at the wheel of the number 8 Bar 1 Motorsport car. He's a lap down to the leaders in PC after some problems early on for his teammate Chris Cumming, but still charging hard.
And as we go on board with Marino Franchitti, second in LMP2, 4th overall, we're going to step away for a moment. Up top, it's Yanni leading.